Task Force. It's composed of federal, state, and local law enforcement officers dedicated to dismantling violent criminal networks. It's Karen Marinos, assistant special agent in charge of the FBI's Springfield division, said these arrests send a clear message: we're taking a more aggressive posture toward violent crime.
City police kept their word, giving citations to parents whose kids shot off fireworks downtown.
This is Stuart McMillan in downtown St. Louis, where 86 people were arrested over the holiday weekend at St. Louis City Police Department's fireworks dragnet. The department says kids shooting off fireworks downtown on the 4th are in trouble, and their parents too. 58 juveniles were arrested, and the St. Louis City Police Department says juveniles that were taken into custody were reunited with their parents, who were then cited for their children's conduct. Some kids as young as 13 years old were armed with real guns. In all, 60 guns were confiscated, which city police say that's a 60% increase over last year.
A homestand begins for the Cardinals. The Nationals tonight at 6:45. They'll play 3 in a row, night games at Busch Stadium, and then 3 this weekend against the Atlanta Braves. The two teams bringing up the rear in the NL East. In fact, the Nationals had a big shakeup over the weekend. They fired their manager, Dave Martinez, and their president of baseball operations, Mike Rizzo. Martinez has been replaced by former Cardinal Miguel Cairo, at least on an interim basis. Cairo will manage the Nationals as they play tonight. Jake Irvin will start for Washington. Sonny Gray gets the start for St. Louis tonight. The 3 starters in the series: Gray, followed by Andre Palante, and then Thursday's starter will be Miles Mikolas. The Cardinals are 6.5 games out in the National League Central. They trail the Cubs and the Brewers in the division after the Cubs took 2 of 3 over the weekend, beating them up on Sunday in the finale 11-0. Day off yesterday. Cardinals play tonight. J.J. Weatherholt, their number 1 prospect, has been promoted to AAA. He was the 7th overall pick in the draft last year, has been playing a lot of shortstop and second base. He projects as a second baseman, with Mason Wynn owning that shortstop spot for the moment and for the foreseeable future. The Cardinals also have the number 5 pick in the MLB draft. That's coming up in the All-Star break. Brendan Donovan is the Cardinals' lone All-Star in the All-Star game on July 15th in Atlanta. Novak Djokovic has overcome an uncharacteristically unsteady start to avoid what would have been his earliest exit at Wimbledon since 2016. He took the last 5 games and went on to victory over the 11th seed Alex de Minaur. And Jannik Sinner has advanced to the Wimbledon quarterfinals despite hurting his right elbow on a fall and dropping the first 2 sets. He came back and beat Grigor Dimitrov, who himself had to quit with an injured pectoral muscle. And Mike Brown has been hired as the new coach of the New York Knicks. 2-time NBA Coach of the Year, replaces the fired Tom Thibodeau. The Knicks fired Thibodeau even though they reached the Eastern Conference Finals last season for the first time in 25 years. Ollie Marble, Cardinals manager, will be with us on the Gas House Gang today. He'll be taking your questions at 12:05. Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji will join me for that show on KMOX, also live streamed on Facebook, X, and YouTube. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM KMOX.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been asked many times how Morgan & Morgan became the largest injury firm in the world. I think I know. When someone comes to us for an on-the-job injury, we have a huge workers' compensation practice. But many times we find a defective product that was responsible for that injury. Luckily for them, we have a product liability section headed by my son, Mike. In addition to the comp case, there is a product case too. Other times, the injured worker is fired or harassed for bringing that claim. We have them covered. Our employment lawyers handle retaliation claims as well as wage theft and discrimination cases, and in some cases need to file for Social Security benefits. No problem. We became big for a reason. 30% of our new cases come as referrals from former clients. Hiring us is easy. Go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer, or call Pound Law on your cell, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
It's nice to go with a company that you can trust, and that's Banner Construction. Who do you trust with your most valuable asset, your home? Home restoration has many choices, but that's the biggest choice, And the answer to that question is Banner Construction. Few companies since 1993 have been able to match Banner's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor, certified Pella Window specialist. With this weather just constantly battering our homes, Banner is going to pair high-end products with high-end craftsmanship, a full-service exterior home remodeler for over 30 years. You are going to love your home's new restoration after Banner's design team shows you many creative options, and then they go to work. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to add unique architectural accents to transform your home as well. Take some time, visit bannerconstruction.com and see for yourself. Bannerconstruction.com, or call them at 314-569-1050 for a free in-home consultation. Banner Construction, and have a banner day.
Your morning news and information. Total Information AM.
All right, let's get you caught up on your ride in. Hopefully nothing in your way, but Roger Brand is keeping his eye on things from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, unfortunately, we got some trouble out there this morning, Debbie. The one I mentioned earlier, looks like they may have resolved that eastbound 44 just past 50 Highway O. They had lumber to be reported in the roadway, and it looks like the delays are gone now. That's good news. This traffic report, by the way, a service of Saks Financial, but the trouble spot we still have with this. In fact, only the left lane is open now. I can see the crash. It's westbound 270 at 170, so the three right lanes are shut down. Traffic is jammed back through New Florida, so not quite back to Washington Elizabeth yet, but the jam is growing on westbound 270. Northbound 55, a little slow down at McNutt. It's also a little slow as you ramp onto North 270, but past that point, it looks good north of Bayless, and once you get onto North 270, that's clear sailing through Gravois 44 and up in the work zone around Ladue. And downtown, we're still in good shape westbound across the Poplar and Muswell Veterans Bridges. Next update at 6:30 from the Overhead Door Company at St. Louis Traffic Center.
Hi, this is Jeff Sachs at Sachs Financial. Let's tune out the noise a little bit and focus on a retirement plan. If you don't have one or don't know how to get started, find us on our website at saxfinancial.com or retiresafestl.com.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg says we are going to get a couple of thunderstorms around this afternoon and evening. A high of 90 degrees up until then. Sunshine and building clouds. We'll keep an eye on that thunderstorm threat. Later tonight, partly cloudy, low 71. Tomorrow, intervals of clouds and sun, very warm and humid. Thunderstorm or two around in the afternoon, a high of 89. Thursday, partly sunny and a high of 89. Right now, it's 72 in Florissant, 72 in St. Peters. It's clear and 72 downtown at the Arch.
As the death toll now surpasses 100, the aftermath of deadly flooding in Texas is bringing political finger-pointing in the Lone Star State and in Washington, D.C., while recovery operations continue finding those still missing.
Kerrville Mayor Joe Herring Jr. says the way for the world to help is simple.
We need your prayers. We need your prayers.
The search and recovery continues along the Guadalupe River, which rose more than 25 feet in less than 45 minutes. Kerrville City Manager Dalton Rice.
So we are still currently in the primary search phase, which is the rapid one. They are running it. We have different segments that are gridded out. Each one of those segments are taking anywhere between an hour to 3 hours, up to 2 kilometers for each segment. So what that means is they're running into a lot of technical challenges with terrain, with water, even potentially, with weather, in the rising fields.
Meanwhile, in D.C., the political back and forth is underway. Senator Chuck Schumer wrote a letter to the Commerce Department's Inspector General demanding an investigation into President Trump's cuts at the National Weather Service that he says could have led to dozens of deaths. The White House snapped back.
To any person who has deliberately lied about these facts surrounding this catastrophic event, you should be deeply ashamed.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
We have seen many falsehoods pushed by Democrats such as Senator Chuck Schumer and some members of the media. Blaming President Trump for these floods is a depraved lie, and it serves no purpose during this time of national mourning.
She insisted the National Weather Service did its job.
Despite unprecedented rainfall, the National Weather Service executed timely and precise forecasts and warnings. On July 3rd, the National Weather Service office in Austin, San Antonio, Texas, conducted forecast briefings for emergency management in the morning and issued a flood watch in the early afternoon.
Senator Ted Cruz is on the ground in the Hill Country and pointed to politics.
One of the things that's predictable is that you see some some people engaging in, I think, partisan games and trying to blame their political opponents for a natural disaster, where people immediately say, well, the hurricane is Donald Trump's fault. Look, I think most normal Americans know that's ridiculous. And I think this is not a time for partisan finger pointing and attacks.
Emergency officials in Texas say the warnings and alerts were issued, but the problem in many cases is that over the 4th of July weekend along the river, not everyone received those warnings. Some weren't near a phone, others had no cell service. State leaders now suggesting outdoor warning sirens for floods along the Guadalupe River. I'm Clayton Neville.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was in the nation's capital meeting with President Trump and top aides for dinner Monday night.
At the start of the dinner, Netanyahu presented the president with a gift.
I want to present to you, Mr. President, the letter I sent to the Nobel Prize Committee. It's nominating you for the Peace Prize, which is well-deserved, and you should get it.
Thank you very much. This I didn't know.
The two leaders and their aides gathered at the White House in part to congratulate each other on Israel's 12-day war on Iran, assisted by the U.S. The president, recalling the bombs dropped by American planes on facilities believed to house Iran's nuclear program, said he believes they're ready for peace talks.
I think Iran wants to meet. I think they want to make peace, and I'm all for it.
Also on the agenda, the current 60-day ceasefire in Gaza and how to maintain it. Netanyahu asked by reporters if he believes a two-state solution is still possible.
I think Palestinians should have all the powers to govern themselves, but none of the powers to threaten us. And that means that certain powers, like overall security, will always remain in our hands.
Netanyahu also said he and Trump are working to find neighboring countries to take in Palestinians displaced by the fighting, and he said it hopes it leads to a lasting peace.
And I think we can work out a peace between us and the entire Middle East with President Trump's leadership. And by working together, I think we can establish a very, very broad peace.
The president also talked about tariff deadlines. He indicated letters are going out to countries not interested in reaching deals on new tariff levels, and also said an August 1st deadline is not hard and fast.
No, I would say firm, but not 100% firm. If they call up and they say, would like to do something a different way, we're going to be open to that.
Netanyahu will head to Capitol Hill later today to meet with congressional leaders before heading back home. John Stolness, Washington.
A federal judge is ordering a Homeland Security official to appear in court on Thursday to detail the government's plans for Kilmar Abrego Garcia. This comes as prosecutors threaten deportation if he's released before his human smuggling trial, and his attorneys are requesting his return to Maryland from detention in Tennessee.
It is 6:27. The time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Killer for our comfort in the last week or so. We got swamped, and I'm not going to tell you to call me when we can't take care of you in a reasonable amount of time. But I've been hearing this, and it's interesting to where people want to get prices for new equipment. A word of advice on what you replace it with if you do not call me. Keep this in mind. Don't jump the shark and say, well, the more I spend, the more my bills go down. You and only you know what you spend a month on your utilities for cooling and heating. If you were told you need a new air conditioner or you know it's just not working for you, call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. The only number, Missouri and Illinois, is 314-293-2600. God bless.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. My Computer Career, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
At California Psychics, we know that sometimes you can wake up thinking,
I don't know if I'm in the right career, or the right relationship.
But whatever your life dilemma, at California Psychics, we'll give you the guidance you need to feel certain about your life choices. And because we only connect you with the very best, We guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. California Psychics. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com today for limited time offers.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler for 213 Complex, which is available at supplement superstores. Look, 213 Complex is the most effective and powerful all-natural weight loss supplement ever developed, and here's why. It optimizes thyroid function, and it boosts your metabolism 24 hours a day, while you're sleeping too. So you're burning more stored body fat. Also getting that appetite and craving control that I love. You get all-day focused energy with no jitters, so all you need to do is get out to supplement superstores, tell them Kevin Wheeler sent you in. They'll knock 30% off 213 Complex. Find your location at supplementsuperstores.com.
Cardinal Cowboy here. After proving the doctors wrong following my accident, I got back to baseball, started kicking field goals, and finally got paid as a pro kicker and ultimately became a leader in the marketing world. That's why I trust Renner Garage Door, exceeding expectations for over 65 years. They service, sell, and install top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster. Get your free quote today. Check them out at RennerDoorSTL.com. Renner, forward and back. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
It is 6:30. This is Total Information AM. It is sunny outside right now and 71 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Tom, we still have our trouble spot in North County, but the emergency crews are just pulling away, so it looks like they're opening up some more lanes. I'll tell you that the right lane is still blocked for sure by this crash. It's westbound 270 at 170. By the way, it's just past the 170 exit, so if you need to get off onto southbound 170, you can. It's not blocking that lane. It's just past the exit ramp where the restrictions are. They did have the three right lanes rather blocked. Only left lane was open, but it looks like now they have the two left lanes open. There is a jam, though, on westbound 270 back through Washington Elizabeth in North County until they can get this thing wrapped up. So just be prepared if you're heading that way. If you're heading in on eastbound 64, there's a bit of a slowdown east of Winghaven. It doesn't even go midway into K before it starts picking up the pace. On the south side, you've got some slow traffic in the right lanes through Butler Hill, Madison, northbound 55, and north of Bayless up to Weber. North 270 still looks okay, though. From 55 through Gravois and 270 around Ladue both ways is still in good shape. And seeing some slow traffic on eastbound 64 coming through the Science Center Kings Highway toward Tower Grove. We'll check and see if there's trouble there for you right now. Next update at 6:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is going to be a sunny day today with clouds building. It's going to be humid, and we could see a couple of thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening, the kind that could produce flooding downpours and some damaging wind gusts. Otherwise, our high today, 90. Tomorrow, we could see a thunderstorm or two around as well in the afternoon and a high of 89. Currently 71 and sunny in downtown St. Louis.
Flash floods in central Texas have killed over 100 people after heavy rain caused the Guadalupe River to rise 26 feet in just 45 minutes on Friday. A massive search continues for the missing. A group of former Navy SEALs have joined in the search efforts. Brian Crisenberry is the crisis response operator for Heroes for Humanity.
You know, I've had a lot of people come up to me that have lost their children and their loved ones and thanked me, and it's hard to even hear that because they have closure, but we haven't pulled anybody out alive yet, and that's tough.
An 8-year-old boy shot in the face. A 12-year-old is in custody. The two had apparently been playing with a gun.
St. Louis police got here to the scene within 2 minutes of the 911 call at about 7:30, and officers rushed the injured child to the hospital in the back of their squad car.
When they know that an innocent person, especially a child, needs life-saving care, they will do whatever they need to do to get to the hospital. And that's exactly what happened tonight.
St. Louis police spokesman Mitch McCoy tells KMOX that investigators used a fire truck ladder to get on top of this nearby building, this Boost mobile store, to search the roof to try to find the gun because the kids involved, they were all gathered in the backyard of this home, and none of them would say where the gun had went. On Cherokee Street, Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
It's 6:33. The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Your money report next.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us They joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-885-9700. 800-885-9700. That's 800-885-9700.
Your Money Report is sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano, Elder Law Attorneys.
Good morning. The Department of Veterans Affairs has walked back a big part of its plan for widespread layoffs. The VA scrapped a plan to cut 15% of its workforce. Instead, the agency will eliminate 30,000 positions through attrition by the end of the fiscal year. The change will save about 50,000 jobs. Shares of Molina Healthcare fell nearly 3% in yesterday's trading. Molina became the latest health insurance firm to warn that increased medical costs will cut into its profit this year. Last week, Centene withdrew its earnings guidance. Like Molina, Centene heavily concentrated in Medicaid and other government programs. And a proposed class action accuses Etsy of allowing third parties to harvest personal data from Etsy users. The legal action filed in California federal court alleges that pixel trackers on the Etsy site are operated by third parties like Google and Meta. This report is sponsored by Fidelity. With your Bloomberg Money Report, I'm Kimberly Adams on the Voice of St. Louis, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Well, if you're running a business, launching a brand, or leading a team, let me introduce you to the nitrous effect. It might be the greatest advantage and a creative advantage that you didn't know you needed. It's not just one agency. The Nitrous Effect is a collective of creative service experts based right here in St. Louis, working together as one team to solve big business challenges. The Nitrous Effect. From strategy to storytelling, events to experiences, creative to culture, the Nitrous Effect brings the right minds together to amplify your vision, advance your goals, and enrich your company culture. Keith Alper, local entrepreneur and creative visionary, is the founder of the Nitrous Effect. Let me tell you about some of the people who have their brands brought to life by the Nitrous Effect. Lion's Choice, the St. Louis Zoo, BJC Healthcare, Washington University, just to name a few. National brands, Southwest Airlines, trusted by Fortune 500 companies and hometown heavyweights alike, the Nitrous Effect. Go to nitrouseffect.com to learn more. You can call them directly, 314-615-6583.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Your home for St. Louis Cardinals baseball. 104.1 FM. KMOX.
Weight loss and muscle mass. I'm Fred Bottomer with 60 Seconds to Better Health. Swedish researchers are studying a new Ozempic-like drug that helps prevent muscle mass loss. Fox News medical contributor Dr. Masa Tarani.
These GLP-1 drugs have been blockbuster drugs, no doubt. They help
so many people achieve the weight loss that they needed. But the problem is they come at the expense of muscle mass loss. About 60 to 70% of patients who take these drugs lose some muscle mass. And remember, muscle is the biggest currency for longevity. When we have muscle, it helps us regulate our insulin levels, our blood sugar levels. It helps us burn calories as we're sitting here talking. And studies have shown that low muscle mass leads to premature death. So it's really important to find a drug that helps decrease the blood sugar but preserves that muscle mass, and this is probably one of those drugs that the researchers are looking at right now. It has a completely different mechanism of action, and it is an oral medication. A lot of the GLP-1s are injectable formulations, so it has a lot of pros to it. They have not found any significant adverse effects, a little bit of increased heart rate in the first 28 days, but that adjusted, and they found that it burns fat, it decreases blood sugar, and it preserves the skeletal muscle.
With 60 seconds to better health, I'm Fred Bottomer.
It is 6:40. This is Total Information AM. I'm Debbie Monterrey, along with Tom Ackerman and Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, just a couple of minutes ago, they cleared that crash, Debbie, on westbound 270 in North County. This traffic report is service of the Sandberg Phoenix Law Firm. So all lanes are back open at the Interbelt. There is still a little bit of a backup approaching Washington Elizabeth, and it's just kind of slow to 170, but it'll thin out pretty quickly, I think. So westbound 270, some delays, but much better than it was even 5 minutes ago. Southbound 61, seeing some slow traffic, Wensville Parkway down onto 64. Once you hit 64, though, you're in pretty good shape. There's a little slowdown at Kings Highway. We had road work. That's what was causing the delays east of Kings Highway. Road work was running just a little late. Looks like they got it picked up because traffic looks better through there now. Northbound 270, a little bit of a slowdown building from Doherty Ferry up the hill to Manchester. Southbound 270, a little crowded at Ladue. Northbound 55, you've got some slow traffic in the right lanes, Butler Hill, Mattis. And from Bayless all the way up through the Holly Hills area, it's just kind of slow northbound 55 right now. Downtown, eastbound 64, there's a little jam at Route 3. We'll check on that. And westbound 64 from the 70 split to 3rd Street is slow. Next update at 6:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we're more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. We are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. SandbergPhoenix.com. The choice of lawyers, an important decision, and should not be based solely on advertising.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg, tell us about this thunderstorm threat later today.
Well, right now we're kind of in between two areas of thunderstorms, one well to our south and one to our north and west. The one to our south we don't have to worry about, so we're getting the sunshine now. But as those thunderstorms weaken to our north and west, they lay the seeds for more to develop during the midday and afternoon hours. So I think this afternoon and evening, the prime time for them, we'll get to 90 in between with that sunshine for a while this morning. And those thunderstorms that do come through later this afternoon and evening can produce downpours and damaging winds. So that's on the table for later today. Things quiet down later tonight, partly cloudy skies, a low of 71. Tomorrow, clouds and sun, a very warm, humid day, about 89. And again, look for another round or two of thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. Partly sunny skies Thursday, should be rain-free with a high of 89. Most of Friday, probably dry too. Partly sunny, but hotter, 91 to 95. Maybe a thunderstorm toward the end of the day, a better chance at night. Saturday looks like it won't be as hot, but it'll be humid with good chance for some thunderstorms as the front tries to move into the area from the north and west. That'll keep temperatures in the upper 80s. 73 in St. Peter's right now, 75 in Florissant, sunshine at 77 downtown at the Arch. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 6:43. Love Island USA says contestant Sierra Ortega has left the show due to a personal situation during Sunday's episode, just a week before the finale airs. Her departure follows weeks of uproar from viewers after old social media posts in which Ortega used a racial slur against Asian people.
Pearl Jam drummer Matt Cameron says he is leaving the band after nearly 30 years. The 62-year-old Cameron announced his departure in a social media post yesterday. Says he's taking his final steps down the drum riser for the mighty Pearl Jam. Thanked the band for giving him the opportunity of a lifetime. The band called Cameron a singular and true powerhouse of a musician. Cameron didn't give a reason for his departure. He played drums for Seattle grunge legend Soundgarden for more than a decade before joining Pearl Jam.
There are cheap seats up for grabs at the movies today.
We're not going to let you get hurt, okay? You can slip into a movie theater to cool off and enjoy the Jurassic dinos for half the price. AMC has expanded its summer discount to Tuesdays as well as Wednesdays. The chain announced its once-a-week deal back in May to entice fans to switch from streaming to an old-fashioned experience. A small popcorn and a soda combo, also 50% off today and tomorrow, but you have to sign up to become an AMC Stubs loyalty member to take advantage. It's free to join. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Well, if you've ever gone to the bathroom for a little me time with no need to use the toilet, you have been what's called restroom camping.
So I just heard of the term restroom camping. I'm a restroom camper. Every time something gets overstimulated in my life, where I'm at like a party or something, even when I'm at home and I feel like I'm overstimulated, let me go to the bathroom and let me refresh real quick.
Restroom camping, a term Gen Z has been using to describe their need for a mental health break during a stressed out moment.
There's nothing like a little bathroom pep talk to yourself.
Okay, well.
Restroom camping.
I had somebody who was working at our house asked to use the bathroom, and I said, sure. And when they came out of there, they said, well, that's a nice bathroom. So I appreciate that. We had it redone several years ago. It said, it looks like you just had it redone yesterday. I'm like, wow, thank you.
But
And I
now
was like,
you didn't know to ask if he was
were you camping?
restroom camping.
Maybe just hanging out, camping. Hopefully not doing what John Hamm was doing in Your Friends and Neighbors. I'm not giving anything away. Everybody knows that in that he takes from people's homes.
Yeah, that's a great series on Apple TV Plus if you haven't checked that out yet.
Man, what a show that is. 6:45. I think John Hamm would be pretty happy with how the Blues have developed here over this offseason. They are considered a contender right now in the Western Conference heading into this season. The Cardinals, what are they? Are they a contender? Are they not? Some are starting to point to their softer schedule here. The Nationals play here for 3, the Braves for 3. Both of those teams bringing up the rear in the NL East. Braves next to last, and the last place team is the Nationals. In fact, they had a shakeup over the weekend. They fired their manager, Davey Martinez. He's been replaced by former Cardinal Miguel Cairo. They also fired their president of baseball operations, Mike Rizzo. He had been there for a long time, built the 2019 world champion Washington Nationals, but they are moving forward in their rebuild with new leadership. As for the Cardinals, 6.5 games out in the National League Central after an embarrassing 11-0 loss on Sunday to the Cubs. They had a day off yesterday, and they'll pick themselves back up and take on the Nationals tonight with their ace on the mound. Sonny Gray will go up against Jake Irvin. Andre Palante pitches Wednesday, and Miles Michaelis on Thursday. While the Cardinals sit 6.5 back in the division, trailing the Cubs, the Brewers picked up a half game last night. They are now 3.5 out. Milwaukee's pretty good outfit. They beat up the Dodgers last night 9-1. So again, 3.5 out for Milwaukee in the division. The Cardinals in the wild card standings right now are a game and a half out of the final spot. The Giants own that final spot. Mets, Brewers, Giants if the season ended right now, but we're a long way away from that, as the Padres are a game out of the wild card and the Cardinals a game and a half out. J.J. Weatherholt, their top prospect, he has been called up to AAA Memphis now from AA Springfield. He is a shortstop / second baseman, projects as the Cardinals' second baseman of the future. Their current second baseman, Brendan Donovan, is one of the leaders of the team. He is a National League All-Star. He can play multiple positions, as you well know. Cardinals and Nationals tonight on KMOX, 6:45 for the first pitch, 5:50 for our pregame. Who's Hot, Who's Not, sponsored by St. Louis Composting, growing gardens and making memories. Maybe you're looking for creating a vegetable garden in your yard, or maybe you're going to go the route that we did, which is landscaping and making everything look much nicer with your selection of mulch. That's right. You can go online to St. Louis Composting's website, stlcompost.com. They provide an extensive selection of compost, soil blends, and mulches. At St. Louis Composting, they are the most trusted compost provider in the St. Louis area. They transform organic yard waste, branches, leaves, grass clippings, and more into premium compost through a 6-month static composting process, and all of their products are STA certified. Compost for organic gardening and farming. Use your outdoor space however you'd like with St. Louis Composting. You can pick it up at one of their 9 locations or visit them online and order for delivery. That's what we did. STLcompost.com.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Out here in the middle of these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on earth. That's how it feels when you're struggling with your mental health. But you don't have to feel alone. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
2 legendary bands, 1 epic night. Collective Soul and Live are bringing the rock to St. Louis. Catch their summer Unity tour at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater July 17th with special guest Braylon James Rue. Don't miss your chance to hear such hits as Shine, December, I Alone, and All Over You. Collective Soul and Live. Tickets can be found at Ticketmaster.com. For more info, KMOX.com/events. Now the news at 9, The Talk. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 6:50. This is Total Information AM, and it's time for us to get you caught up on your ride in this morning. We start with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, just some slow traffic out there right now, Debbie. This traffic reports a service of Metro Transit. One place that's not slow any longer is westbound 270 at the interval. They cleared that crash. Everything's thinned out. In fact, the volume now is down past the Rock Road. The ramp lanes getting on to 70 are just a little slow there. The through lanes, not so bad. Southbound 61, a little busy at Wentzville Parkway. Eastbound 70, a little slow at Highway A. South 270, south of Aldo Ladou's busy. North 270 looks great, just a little bunched up around Doherty Ferry. Eastbound 30 slow, Mauer to 270. Northbound 55, Butler Hill up to the north 50 or the north 270 exits heavy, and then it's bogged down from Bayless up to about Virginia on northbound 55. Still seeing a little slowdown eastbound 64 at Kings Highway. They had road work going on in the left lanes east of there. Looks like they were picking it up. And downtown, some heavier traffic on 5570 from 203 to 64, and 64 is busy from about 3rd Street onto the Poplar now. Next update at 6:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Metro Transit.
We are Metro Transit. We don't just help ourselves and our neighbors get where we need to be. We help our whole region get where we want to be. Get on board at rideonmetro.org.
AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg says we do have some thunderstorms brewing this afternoon and evening. Until then, sunshine, warm, humidity is present, and a high of 90 degrees. Any thunderstorm can produce flooding, downpours, and localized damaging wind gusts. We will watch for that early evening, maybe even late this afternoon. Later tonight, partly cloudy, low 71. Tomorrow, clouds and sun, warm and humid, thunderstorm around in the afternoon, a high of 89 degrees. Currently, we're looking at a sunny sky. It's 73 in downtown St. Louis.
It is 6:52, and the news continues. A 12-year-old is in custody after police say an 8-year-old boy was grazed in the face with a bullet in South City. Investigators say the kids were playing with a gun when it went off. About 7:30 last night in the 3400 block of Cherokee. The boy is expected to be okay.
St. Louis Police Chief Robert Tracy says he is considering citing parents for their kids' behavior at future city events and holidays. This comes after parents were cited over the weekend if their kids were caught in the city shooting off fireworks. The chief hopes it will push parents to pay more attention to their children and bring juvenile crime rates down.
In the Metro East, the O'Fallon City Council has voted to keep its 1% grocery tax. The mayor says the city was forced to vote to keep it after Illinois lawmakers passed a bill last year eliminating the statewide grocery tax. The city estimates it would lose about $1.2 million in revenue if the grocery tax were to go away.
A cannabis testing program is underway in Missouri.
The Missouri Division of Cannabis Regulation says the goal of the testing is to ensure product safety and labeling accuracy. The Missouri State Public Health Lab will test to make sure growers and manufacturers are in compliance. The state says the lab will serve as a critical compliance tool while contributing to the development of industry-wide standards. Staff will collect samples from licensed cultivation and manufacturing facilities during unannounced inspections or investigations. Sue Danielson, Missouri Net.
A large sinkhole has opened up in a South St. Louis road.
Well, the sinkhole has opened up on North Broadway in the North Riverfront neighborhood.
of St. Louis City. The sinkhole is a decent size. You could probably back a small pickup truck into the sinkhole if you went gently and didn't mind a bumpy ride on the way down. Now, city crews are already on hand working on either this sinkhole or something adjacent to it. There's another hole that they're digging up in the middle of the roadway right now, probably about 30, 40 feet away from the sinkhole, so no word if they're related at this time. In North City, Sean Malone, KMOX News.
More than 500 paddlers from around the world will embark on the 20th annual Missouri American Water River Race today. Participants will paddle 340 miles from Kansas City to St. Charles in non-motorized boats, kayaks, and canoes, competing in a 4-day race to the finish line.
It is one of the most hyped shopping events of the year. It kicks off today. We get details from CBS's Tim McNicholas.
Amazon Prime Day is here. Americans are expected to spend almost $24 billion during the big 4-day sales event, according to market research firm Adobe Analytics. But several other major retailers, including Walmart and Target, are also getting in on the action this week, holding rival sales of their own.
I heard it's somebody's birthday.
Birthday excitement.
It's your birthday.
The KMOX birthday shout out is sponsored by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back, family owned and top rated, RennerDoorSTL.com. Happy birthday wishes going out to Clint Hofer. Also, happy 10th birthday to Addie O'Donnell from Poppy and Grandma. And birthday wishes to Joanne Hoffman and Julie Weiss.
And we're all connected to him somehow, some way, including all of those people. He is Kevin Bacon.
That's a great book. Slaughterhouse-Five. It's a classic.
Maybe in another town it's a classic.
In any town.
What's it called? The 6 degrees or 4 degrees?
6 degrees of separation.
Degrees of separation of Kevin
From
Bacon. Whatever. Kevin Bacon is 67 today. That is one of his best performances, actually, going way back. Footloose. It's 6:56.
Best birthday ever.
McKelvey Homes. President Jim Brennan of McKelvey Homes is, maybe he's connected to Kevin Bacon. Jim Brennan is one of the great people out there, and his company goes back to 1898. They are celebrating every single year just that great long run they've had, 127 years of business here in the St. Louis area. They are the oldest home builder in the state of Missouri and the best. And McKelvey Homes celebrates that 1898 in two different ways. One, every time they sell a home, they donate $1,898 to a nonprofit. Circle of Concern, a food pantry here in the St. Louis area, was the recipient this last quarter. They also give back to you. They allow you to have some savings to the tune of $18,980 on all of their market homes. Visit those homes at McKelveyhomes.com, St. Louis County, St. Charles County. McKelveyhomes.com. Since 1898, just beautiful homes, too. Fantastic. Move up to McKelvey.
Upgrade your family vacation with an unforgettable escape to the Palm Beaches. From outdoor adventures and laid-back beaches to thrilling family attractions and animal encounters, the Palm Beaches have something for everyone. Discover premier resorts with creative kids clubs that will keep the little ones entertained while you enjoy world-class golf and spas. We are the original, the one, the only, the Palm Beaches. Plan your trip at thepalmbeaches.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is, who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Well, few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation today, 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters. BannerConstruction.com.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. This is National Cancer Survivor Awareness Month, and we are joined by Dr. Lindsay Peterson.
And the program at Siteman Cancer Center is always evolving to address the needs of all of our patients. And so we want to know, what patients need, what we can do for them, and we want to make sure that we're providing those different resources for them.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
Here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, we've got some slow traffic on eastbound 70 from around Lake St. Louis Boulevard into Highway K. Eastbound 64, a little busy in a couple of spots. Winghaven midway into Highway K. Northbound 270, the Big Bend Doherty Ferry area is slow. North 55, a little busy at Bayless. Next update at 7:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
We have sun and 73 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Tom Ackerman, and these are the stories making news. At least 104 deaths are blamed on the Texas flooding.
I'm Debbie Monterrey.
St. Louis police are asking where were the parents after an 8-year-old boy was shot in the face. I'm Michael Calhoun on Cherokee Street with the latest.
I'm Sean Malone. What happened moments before a shooting in Farmington?
They were dropping Javon off to a friend's house.
Coming up, hear from a witness who lives inside the apartment complex.
Kansas lawmakers giving the Chiefs and Royals more time to decide on stadium incentives, keeping their potential move across state line alive.
We'll take a look at the Cardinals on the way at 7:15.
Winner of 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards, including Overall Excellence. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is the CBS News World News Roundup, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. At least 104 people are now confirmed dead in the aftermath of catastrophic flooding in central Texas. Volunteers on horseback, others with rescue dogs, are searching for more victims and possible survivors. Sunny White is holding out hope for a missing friend.
Last we heard was someone on Facebook that was camping over there with him and saw him alive in a tree, clinging on around 4:30 or 5 a.m. the day of the floods.
CBS's Jason Allen is along the banks of the Guadalupe River in Ingram.
Officials say hundreds of first responders are involved, some using drones equipped with thermal sensors to try to spot any survivors.
This is, if not the worst, one of the worst, disasters in this region in a very, very long time.
Local officials are facing questions over why Kerr County, part of an area known as Flash Flood Alley, never invested in its own flood warning system.
President Trump met with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu last night to discuss next steps in ceasefire negotiations in Gaza. Correspondent Nancy Cordes is at the White House.
President Trump told reporters that he still thinks there is a good chance that a ceasefire deal can be struck this week. According to an official briefed on the negotiations, it would involve a 60-day pause in hostilities with a phased release of Israeli hostages and the withdrawal of Israeli troops from parts of Gaza.
Netanyahu announced he's nominated President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. Airline passengers celebrating news. The TSA is dropping an almost 20-year-old rule that requires you to go through security in stocking feet. These two at Boston's Logan Airport say
it should speed up the process. I think it's, everyone should be able to keep their shoes on.
It's hard for families when you're juggling little ones or elderly.
The phase out began at a handful of airports yesterday, including Baltimore, Washington, Fort Lauderdale, and Philadelphia. Heavily armed ICE agents descended on a park in Southern California, much to the chagrin of the governor. KNX Radio's Craig Feigener.
Dozens of federal agents swept through downtown LA's MacArthur Park. Some were on horseback, some in Humvees, and in the sky, what appeared to be a military chopper. California Governor Gavin Newsom says no one was detained, and he called what happened a cruel spectacle.
Kids in the U.S. aren't as fit as they used to be. CBS's Michael George explains.
A study published in JAMA found over the last 17 years, children's health has declined in a variety of categories, including obesity, physical and mental health, and child mortality. American children ages 1 to 19 are 80% more likely to die when compared to children in other high-income countries.
This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Paul's new drone startup just lost its most genius computer scientist.
We just lost our best genius to some new genius who's got a genius new idea. I'm going to have to find a new genius or two half geniuses and fast.
He needs a computer scientist that can keep his startup from falling down.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply. Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
It is 7:04, and right now we've got sunshine and 73 degrees in downtown St. Louis. The news sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. An 8-year-old boy is in stable condition after getting shot in the face. KMOX's Michael Calhoun on the scene.
A 12-year-old is in custody in this suspected accidental shooting. When police arrived here at about 7:30, they found a bunch of kids in a backyard, tight-lipped about where the gun went. So police spokesman Mitch McCoy says investigators
used a ladder. They climbed on top of the Boost Mobile building here. The gun's not there. We have called in one of our canines that is specialized in searching for ballistic evidence.
One of the reasons why the boy was in stable condition is because officers rushed him to the hospital in the back of their squad car. McCoy says they're still investigating where the parents were in all of this. On Cherokee Street, Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Knocking on the wrong door resulted in a fatal shooting in Farmington.
Shortly before noon Sunday, Farmington police were called to Hilltop Apartment Complex for a shooting. Austin Atnip, a resident of the apartment complex, says he heard the gunshots followed by shouting. He stepped outside to find his neighbor holding a gun and the victim bleeding out. He says while his neighbor claimed the man was breaking into his apartment, Atnip says the victim's friend who dropped him off told him a different story.
They were dropping Javon off to a friend's house. He was not trying to burglarize anything. He just went up to the wrong door.
Atnip says he heard no shouting before the initial gunshots. He adds his neighbor fired up into the apartment breezeway from the parking lot. The Farmington Police Department took the shooter into custody and continues to investigate. No charges have been filed at this time. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Kansas City sports teams are getting more time until the end of the year to make their pass across the state line should they decide that's the play they want to run. Kansas lawmakers yesterday gave the Chiefs and Royals an extension on stadium incentives, which had expired at the end of June.
I'm under the impression that there are real conversations happening. And I was very grateful for Mark Donovan's letter that was expressing that.
That's Kansas Senate President Ty Masterson on KMBC TV. Chiefs President Mark Donovan told Kansas lawmakers in that letter that the team is, quote, fully committed to negotiating. Missouri, meantime, passed its own offer in a special session.
In the city, school rivalries are real. And in a district where the top cause of injury to teachers is breaking up fights, the teachers union and every union representing most of the employees say there's a storm brewing in St. Louis public schools post-tornado shuffling. Teachers Union local president Ray Cummings calls it a rookie decision to combine several specific schools.
We would have brought that information to the table, and we think we could have come up with a much better decision.
Cummings tells KMOX it's mostly a middle and high school problem.
I really wasn't concerned about the elementary children because, you know, they do pretty well. You know, it's almost like with them, it's almost like friends coming over to their school from another school and being with them.
A statement from board president Karen Collins Adams says SLPS remains committed to working together in the spirit of mutual respect and shared responsibility. Together, we'll continue prioritizing the well-being of those who matter most, our staff who support our students every day.
A cannabis testing program is underway in Missouri.
The Missouri Division of Cannabis Regulation says the goal of the testing is to ensure product safety and labeling accuracy. The Missouri State Public Health Lab will test to make sure growers and manufacturers are in compliance. The state says the lab will serve as a critical compliance tool while contributing to the development of industry-wide standards. Staff will collect samples from licensed cultivation and manufacturing facilities during unannounced inspections or investigations. Sue Danielson, MissouriNet.
Still ahead, 2 local healthcare giants are combining forces to open a new laundry facility in Soulard, but it does mean job cuts for another company. It's 7:08. Traffic and weather are next.
Cardinal Hall of Famer Jason Isringhausen and Eddie Scholler from the world-famous Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Hey, buddy, have you came over and looked at the new Eddie at Fast Eddie's? I finally got a new item. You know, it's been decades.
Decade? More like 40 years to figure out how to put a piece of shrimp on there with your steak.
I've known you for 40 years. You could have said something. Well, who'd have thought the Elwood could even get better? But we did it. We went and we made the Eddie. It's a foot-long serving turkey.
Not that I needed another reason to bring the whole gang down there. I'm still going to order those big Elwoods, the succulent peel and eat shrimp, the hot chick on a stick, and that famous Fast Eddie burger. And I'm always going to get one of those ice-cold frosty ones and listen to that live music on that patio every afternoon and evening.
Well, I just love adding another great item for everybody to come over and enjoy. When you come on over the beautiful Clark Bridge and look at the picturesque Mississippi River.
Picturesque. That's very eloquent.
Thank you very much.
Well, like Mr. Shannon says, if you're 21 and in the mood, come on over to picturesque Alton, Illinois, and see the very eloquent Eddie at Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
KMOX and 97.1 FM Talk are proud to support the first ever Brendan Donovan Charity Clay Shoot, happening Thursday, August 7th at Straffleton Farms Club in Weldon Spring. Join Cardinal standout Brendan Donovan, teammates, and local celebrities for a day of clay shooting in community, all to benefit Team Red, White, and Blue, and their mission to support veterans' health and wellness. Sponsorships and shooter spots are going fast. Visit teamrwb.org/Donovan now to sign up. Show your support and make a difference for those who have served.
Rolling hot dogs 2 for $5 on a fluffy bun. All beef hot dogs rolling in. Hurry, cause they're on the run. Pick your toppings anyway. Roll into this deal. Pick your 2 big Q2. Roll and mix a meal. Mustard relish, sauerkraut. Ain't no need to scream and shout. Get 2 all beef hot dogs and a big Q for $5. Only at QT. More than a gas station.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
Let's check the road. 710 Roger Brand, Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Tom, we're in a bit of a lull right now, so things are quieting down for the time being. A little busy here and there, but it really isn't bad. South 270, those ramp lanes get onto 70, look like they're a little heavy at the Rock Road. Eastbound 64, just a touch of a slowdown as you make your way through Winghaven, but it picks up the pace pretty quickly. Northbound 270, just some slow stuff up the hill, Doherty Ferry to Manchester. South 270 right at Ladue looks a little off the pace. If you're on northbound 55, the right lanes, Butler Hill up to Mattis are a little slow. And again, just Loughborough to Virginia, it looks okay running through Bayless right now. Seeing a little backup on Tesson Ferry coming up north of Butler Hill up to Kennerly, Tesson Ferry at Concord School. Eastbound 30, some slow stuff approaching Mauer up to 270. Northbound 55, I mentioned, just at River to Perrin downtown. Westbound 64, just Route 3 to the Poplar is heavy right now. They are scheduled to start that roadwork eastbound 64 at Highway 50 this hour. They're going to have a couple lanes down, and overnight it's going to be down to just one lane. It'll be wrapped up by tomorrow morning at 7, so it'll probably impact your drive home this evening. Next update at 7:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
KMOX AccuWeather, sunshine and building clouds today. Quite warm and humid. Look for a couple of thunderstorms this afternoon and evening that can produce flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts, the high near 90. Later tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 71. For tomorrow, intervals of clouds and sun. A very warm, humid day with a thunderstorm or two around in the afternoon, high about 89. Partly sunny Thursday, high 89. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now, we've got sunshine and 73 degrees in downtown St. Louis.
St. Louis Police Chief Robert Tracy says he's considering citing parents for their kids' behavior at future city events and holidays. This comes after parents were cited over the weekend if their kids were caught in the city shooting fireworks. The chief hopes it will push parents to pay more attention to their children and bring juvenile crime rates down.
In the Metro East, the O'Fallon City Council has voted to keep its 1% grocery tax. The mayor says the city was forced to vote to keep it after Illinois lawmakers passed a bill last year eliminating the statewide grocery tax. The city estimates it would lose about $1.2 million in revenue if the grocery tax were to go away.
An update on a KMOX news story we brought you earlier on a merger in laundry service for some local hospitals.
BJC Healthcare and SSM Health are combining their laundry services and have launched a joint venture called St. Louis Healthcare Support Services, so they can own and operate a regional laundry in the Soulard area. And a filing pursuant to the WARN Act, the Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act, Image First Healthcare Laundry Specialists, an outside firm which had been providing laundry service to Barnes Jewish Hospital, says it will now need to close its South Broadway plant at the end of the year. That move will result in, it says, the termination of about 92 workers. BJC and SSM Health, meanwhile, say combining forces in this new laundry project will allow them to bring 80 new benefits-eligible positions to the surrounding community and will provide certainty in providing laundry service for the foreseeable future. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
Free mental health first aid training is taking place in Alton later this month. The groundbreaking training will help participants identify and respond to someone who may be struggling, then to help find them the best support and resources. OSF St. Anthony's Healthcare is offering the training free on July 25th. It includes assessing the risk of suicide or harm, how to listen in a non-judgmental way, and encourage appropriate help. OSF says 1 in 5 Americans has a mental illness. An average of 130 people die by suicide every day.
An Olympic fencer from France has been cleared of wrongdoing thanks to an act of passion.
The Court of Arbitration for Sport has accepted Isaora Thebus' claim she failed a drug test after repeatedly kissing her partner. The former world fencing champion says that unbeknownst to her, her mate had been taking an anabolic steroid. The court determined it would have left sufficient amounts of the drug Ostarine to contaminate Thebus. In 2009, a doping case against a French tennis player was dismissed after the CAS ruled he was accidentally contaminated with cocaine after sharing a drink with and kissing a woman who used the drug. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Carlos Alcaraz is taking center court, about to compete at Wimbledon, try to make it to the quarterfinals. Jannik Sinner, the number 1, as well as Novak Djokovic, American Ben Shelton have all advanced. Alcaraz is something else. He's only 22 years old. He's already won 5 Grand Slam events, 2 French Opens, 2 Wimbledons, and a U.S. Open. The Cardinals have a young man by the name of J.J. Weatherholt. Here he is. In fact, let's make him our player to bank on. Sponsored by Community America Credit Union, invested in you. Eventually, they're going to bank on this guy who has been promoted to AAA.
Here comes the 3-2. Weatherholt swings and drives it into center field. Cross back, turn to home plate, goes back. That's carrying, and Weatherholt goes deep for the second time today. His 6th and 7th home runs, and he extends the lead for the Cardinals. It's now 5-0.
That was 2 nights ago, his first multi-homer game as a professional. The former West Virginia baseball star has been promoted to AAA. The number 1 prospect in the Cardinals organization has had a very good professional career so far. His 62-game stretch in AA saw him hit 300 with 7 home runs and 34 RBIs and an OPS of 891. He is projected as the Cardinals' second baseman of the future. He also plays the shortstop position. He'll be in the Futures game on Saturday in Atlanta as they kick off All-Star Weekend there. Brendan Donovan, the Cardinals' current second baseman, is a National League All-Star, the Cardinals' only representative. The Cardinals take on the Nationals tonight. It's a 6:45 start. We'll have the pregame at 5:50. Sonny Gray makes the start. The Cardinals slightly shuffled their rotation, announced last night. Gray starting the opener tonight. It'll be Andre Palante tomorrow, and then Thursday's starter is Miles Michaelis. TBD on the Braves series this weekend. It's anticipated that the Cardinals will discuss bringing up Michael McGreevy, potentially to replace Eric Fetty for the time being. We'll see if they do indeed do that. Fetty was pulled in the second inning of an 11-0 loss to the Cubs on Sunday. The Cardinals are 6.5 games back in the National League Central, trailing the Cubs. The Brewers blasted the Dodgers last night 9-1. They pick up a half game on the Cubs, and they currently sit 3.5 games out. Mike Brown is the new coach of the New York Knicks, taking over for the fired Tom Thibodeau. Brown is a 2-time NBA Coach of the Year, but he was recently let go by the Sacramento Kings. I'm Tom Ackerman on the Voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
104.1 FM, KMOX. News, talk, sports.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at Zero Res. Celebrate National Carpet Cleaning Month with Zero Res and purchase 3 rooms of carpet cleaned. Get 1 free room plus $50 off your air duct services. You can book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of the savings. So they were just out at my house about a month ago, and they've been out half a dozen times over the years. But I'm always impressed. They are punctual, they are professional, they are compassionate, they are courteous, they work their tails off, and they just flat out get your carpets, your upholstery, your air ducts as clean as the day they brought them in. It's St. Louis. It's the dog days of summer. Those carpets are going to be getting gamey. Maybe you dropped some toasted ravioli in there, some barbecue, whatever it is you put into them, we can get that back out. 314-474-2020 or ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forward, spell it backwards. It's always the same, Zero Res.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
Now the news at 1 the fun. It's the Dave Glover Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
At 7:20, let's get you caught up on your ride in this morning and the weather. That's some bright sunshine out there, so keep that in mind as you're leaving the house. Roger Brand has the latest from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, and once you get on the roads, just look for some slow traffic. A lot of it's on 270 right now, Debbie. South 270, just Olive to Ladue, kind of busy there, but North 270 bogs down. Tesson Ferry through Gravois, Big Bend, most of the way up to Ladue, just busy stretches all the way through. None of it's jammed, but it's all heavier and a slower pace the whole way through. If you're on eastbound Highway 30, West Watson to 270 is off the pace. Northbound 55, those right lanes. Butler Hill up to the North 270 exit. There's a couple of slow spots between Bayless and River to Pear, and another little brief delay right around Holly Hills, Virginia. Just a couple little busy stretches, not as much volume there as you normally see. In downtown, it's still not bad. Westbound 64, a slowdown just west of 3rd Street, getting to the Poplar Mutual Veterans Bridge. Looks great out west. Eastbound 64 through Prospect is slow, and then east of 364 through Winghaven and 94 to Research Park after that. And eastbound 64, the ramp lanes coming to 170 are a little slow east of McKnight as well. Next update at 7:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's going to be humid out there, Roger. Joe Lundberg, our AccuWeather meteorologist, says we're looking at a 90-degree day today. And then after sun and building clouds, we're going to have a couple of thunderstorms around this afternoon and evening. Any thunderstorm can produce flooding, downpours, and localized damaging wind gusts. Later tonight, partly cloudy, low 71. Tomorrow, much of the same. Intervals of clouds and sun, warm and humid. Thunderstorm or two around in the afternoon and a high of 89 degrees. Currently, it's 74 in Florissant, 74 in St. Peter's, sunny and 74 downtown at the Arch.
The news continues at 7:22. President Trump introduced another set of threats and deadlines of high tariffs to several different countries. KNX anchor Margaret Carrero in Los Angeles spoke with Claire Reed, who served as the assistant U.S. trade representative for China, about these latest developments.
So today, Trump said he was going to be sending out 14 letters to 14 countries that were going to basically be announcing the duties that he was going to impose as of August 1. So these letters have started dribbling out into the public eye, and they're pretty much identical. And what they say is, on August 1st, we are going to impose high tariffs on you. They often are the tariffs that are the exact tariffs that Trump had threatened or had imposed for a week in April. Sometimes there's a small adjustment. And the letter says you were going to have these tariffs imposed on you. So 25% on Korea, 25% on Japan, 40% on small countries in South Asia. But the letter says if you can come in by August 1 and reduce more tariffs, we might think about not imposing these high tariffs on you.
The president and many in his administration, when they did that 90-day pause, right, there was this kind of wanting 90 trade deals in 90 days. Did the president and the people in his administration underestimate how long it would take to hammer out trade deals?
I think that is a very fair conclusion. I don't know that the president has ever really hammered out the details of a deal like this, because the devil is in the details and you can't skimp on them or you don't actually know what you got. And it takes a lot of time to hammer out the details. So I am fairly confident that some in his administration understood how challenging this was going to be, but they were set to the task and have tried to move as quickly as they can to try to cut some deals. And I think the best guess is that any deals that emerge between now and August 1 are going to be these frameworks again. They're going to give you kind of a path sort of forward, but they're not necessarily going to get all of the pieces of the puzzle set.
What does this on again, off again approach to tariffs do to the confidence in our trading partners that we're acting in good faith?
It is devastating. We signed a free trade agreement, for example, with Korea. And under that free trade agreement, we agreed that we would not put any tariffs on their imports, and they would not put any tariffs on our imports. And it's a pretty broad-ranging agreement, so it's not like there's a lot of loopholes in it. It's pretty clear free trade both ways. And all of a sudden, that's no longer viable. And now you have a president who's saying, okay, I'm gonna do this with you. But a few months later, he's going to do something else. And even if you come to some kind of a truce, how are you going to know that it's going to last a long time? And by the way, not just our trading partners are the ones who have to be very unsettled, but American businesses have to be extremely unsettled.
Again, that is Claire Reed, former assistant U.S. trade rep for China, speaking with KNX Radio's Margaret Carrero.
The weather today, it's going to be stormy this afternoon and evening, and Joe Lundberg says to watch out for that this afternoon and evening. There was a system that was going to miss us to the south today, and you can see it right now on the radar. It's kind of hovering around Piedmont. Fredericktown is the northernmost portion of that storm. They're getting some heavy rain right now in Poplar Bluff, etc., but not in the St. Louis area. A weather sponsored by the International Hot Rod Association. Outlaw Nitro Series is back. 5 events, 4 locations, 1 explosive season, Top Fuel, Funny Cars, Pro Mods, and you in the stands. Nitro Nation. Get your tickets now at IHRA.com. That's IHRA.com.
It is 7:27, and the time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
Time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Oh, the great outdoors. Right about now, the mosquitoes are out there. But, if you had a beautiful screened-in little room on your beautiful deck, just imagine you could be outdoors without the mosquitoes. Just thinking out loud for you. Call Chesterfield Fence and Deck, and together you can put together an incredible outdoor space. In fact, a lot of people who go to Chesterfield Fence and Deck are looking for ways to extend the season, to use that outdoor space as like a brand new room, something that you can use almost year round. Whether you're just looking for a fence or a deck or a patio or pergola, all of the above, you've got something really fancy planned. From the simple to the complicated, Chesterfield Fence and Deck does an amazing job. They have 57 years of experience. And if you mention me, Debbie Monterrey, they'll offer you 48 months interest-free financing. They'll come to you, free project design and free in-home estimates, or visit them at their beautiful showroom in the Chesterfield Valley. Chesterfield Fence and Deck is the sign you have the very best. ChesterfieldFence.com.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Our new thing here on Total Information AM is live streaming. We're on Facebook, we're on X, we're on YouTube. It's 7:30, sunny, 74 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Tom Ackerman.
I'm Debbie Monterrey, and this is Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we have slow traffic on northbound 270 right now, folks, as you ramp on from 55 through Gravois north of 44. Again, it's just sort of bogged down off the pace all the way up to Ladue. Southbound 270 is getting busier as well. Page down to Ladue, the slowest part there. Southbound 61, Wensville Parkway into 64 through Prospect, kind of heavy. There's slow stuff again, approaching Winghaven, but it doesn't even go midway into K. However, westbound 64, they're doing that road work between K and Winghaven. It's backed up, or at least slowed down about midway out from K into that Winghaven area. In the Richmond Heights area, eastbound 64 slow through the Interbelt to Hanley. Westbound 64, Clayton Skinker to Big Bend. There's a little more volume there. Northbound 55, the right lanes, Madison 270 are slow, and then all lanes from about the Union Road overpass up through Virginia are busy. And then downtown, westbound 64 from the 70 split, some slow stretches headed across the Poplar Street Bridge. Next update at 7:40 from the Overhead Door Company at St. Louis Traffic Center.
The weather forecast from Joe Lundberg says we're going to have sun and then some building clouds, warm and humid. And you know what that means. A couple of thunderstorms are going to start brewing around this afternoon and evening. Any thunderstorm can produce flooding, downpours, and localized damaging wind gusts, a high of 90. Later tonight, partly cloudy, low 71. Same thing tomorrow. Clouds and sun could build into a thunderstorm or two around in the afternoon with all that humidity, a high of 89. Thursday looks like partly sunny, 89, according to Joe. Right now, it's clear in downtown St. Louis and sunny, 75 degrees.
O'Fallon, Illinois council members voted overwhelmingly last night to continue taxing groceries at 1%, although some said it wasn't an easy decision.
O'Fallon is just the latest city in the Metro East to consider its own 1% tax on groceries since the state's is set to go away January 1st. Councilmember Jessica Lotz says the city's slice of that state tax is $1.2 million, which they can't afford to lose after Offenburg moved its car dealership to Shiloh, taking $900,000 in tax revenue with it.
So I support what I consider a rollover of the tax, because if we were to cut back, it would be very difficult.
Councilmember Todd Roach is voicing opposition, though.
You can go without buying maybe luxury items, cars. As you mentioned from Offenburg, you could go without buying a car potentially. but you can't go without buying food.
State politicians have been promising that the tax would go away, even though many cities are now doing their own versions of it. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
A final vote on the grocery tax could come at the meeting in 2 weeks.
However, Governor J.B. Pritzker's choice to be his next running mate, Christian Mitchell, is still touting that Illinoisans are getting a break on their grocery taxes.
People want to know that you understand what's going on in their lives, that you're working on their behalf every single day. And when you do things that they can see on their paycheck, in their pocketbook, that I think is how you inspire confidence. And that's something we can do as statewide elected officials.
Mitchell tells our partners at Capital News Illinois that if elected lieutenant governor, he won't forget about downstate and the Metro East, despite being from Chicago.
The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. It's 7:33.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 40-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term life insurance may only cost you about $100 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-352-9239. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-352-9239. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-352-9239. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. For affordable term life insurance, call 800-352-9239, 800-352-9239, or biglou.com.
It is 7:34, and it's time for your money report from Bloomberg, sponsored for you by Busey Bank.
Good morning. President Trump has unveiled letters to various nations on social media threatening to impose high tariff rates on goods for several key trading partners. But the president signed an executive order delaying the increased levies until next month. Trump said the deadline is not 100% firm, suggesting he's still open to negotiations. Starbucks is in the middle of a big revamp, and its latest move involves another menu item tweak. Bloomberg has learned the company is now exploring ways to remove canola oil from its food lineup in the country, and it plans to add a new egg bite to its menu that's made from avocado oil. The move is part of the company's plan to prioritize health-conscious products as it tries to reverse a sales slump and align with the Trump administration's health priorities. And the days of going through the airport security without your shoes are reportedly about to end. Sources say a Transportation Security Administration policy will allow travelers to keep their shoes on, and it will likely speed up the screening process. This report is sponsored by Fidelity. With your Bloomberg Money Report, I'm Kimberly Adams on the Voice of St. Louis, 104.1 FM KMOX.
This is the Our Idea is Ready to Launch vision. This is the Create Great Jobs vision. This is the We Need More Space vision. This is Busey, where your business visions become realizations. Through securing capital for growth and comprehensive strategies that ensure a prosperous future. Because thriving businesses mean thriving people and thriving communities. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Member FDIC.
Baseball is all about stepping up to the plate when it matters most. And when you've been injured, you need a heavy hitter in your corner. At Morgan & Morgan, we don't back down. We fight to get you every dollar you deserve. No curveballs, no strikeouts, just results. That's why we've recovered over $25 billion for our clients and fight for them from offices nationwide. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, proud sponsor of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
I know a big Cardinals fan, and that's Tim Gamma. I'm a big fan of Tim Gamma. Tim and Tom Gamma, Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care, and they absolutely will with Gamma Tree Experts. Gamma has been in business since 1954. Frank Gamma started the business back then with a pickup truck and hand tools. His sons, Tim and Tom, certified arborists, are doing a wonderful job with the full-service tree care firm known as Gamma Tree Experts. All work is performed to industry standards by a team of experienced tree workers. You'll appreciate their prompt, friendly service as well. 314-725-6159, gammatree.com. Tree and shrub pruning, trimming, disease control, fertilizing, removal, and stump removal as well. This is Gamma Tree experts accredited by the Tree Care Industry Association and fully insured. Visit them again online at gammatree.com or save that phone number, 24-hour line for storm damage as well, 314-725-6159. Your trees deserve the best care.
Hi, I'm Andrew Suntrup. For over 30 years, St. Louis and St. Charles families have trusted Suntrup Buick GMC. As a proud family-owned dealership, we offer more than just great deals. We offer peace of mind. At Suntrup Buick GMC, you'll always find a huge selection of inventory to choose from, unmatched customer service, and every vehicle comes with our exclusive lifetime powertrain protection program. Visit in store or online at suntrupbuickgmc.com. Save more at Suntrup Buick GMC.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Your home for St. Louis Cardinals baseball. 104.1 FM. KMOX.
It is 7:39, and a St. Louis woman is sentenced for killing the father of her child as he sat next to the child in a car. This happened in 2022 in the Wells Goodfellow neighborhood. 31-year-old Brittany Gardner pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter, fatally shooting 38-year-old Troy Bond inside a car in a grocery store parking lot. The charges say she got out of the driver's seat, walked to the rear passenger door, shot Bond in the neck with a pistol. He managed to walk into the grocery store, but then died. The case was supposed to go to court this week.
City police kept their word, giving citations to parents whose kids shot off fireworks downtown.
This is Stuart McMillan in downtown St. Louis, where 86 people were arrested over the holiday weekend at St. Louis City Police Department's fireworks dragnet. The department says kids shooting off fireworks downtown on the 4th are in trouble, and their parents too. 58 juveniles were arrested, and the St. Louis City Police Department says juveniles that were taken into custody were reunited with their parents, who were then cited for their children's conduct. Some kids as young as 13 years old were armed with real guns. In all, 60 guns were confiscated, which city police say that's a 60% increase over last year.
It is 7:40. Time to check in with Roger Brand, who is in the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, this traffic reports the service of Financial and Tax Strategies. Debbie, busy highways. It's the peak of the rush hour. Just lots of slow traffic. There are pockets, both directions on 64 eastbound, east of 364 through Winghaven, and westbound from 94 past Highway K. The westbound stuff is due to road work, obviously. Eastbound 64 bogs down McKnight to Big Bend in the Richmond Heights area. Clayton Skinker to Hanley slow on the westbound side. South 170 busy from Delmar down to 64. Southbound 270, a couple of pockets from Page down to Ladue. North 270, 55 all the way to Ladue. It's just basically slow the whole way along the line. Eastbound 70 from 270 into the Rock Road. There's a little bit of volume there. If you're on eastbound 30, Mauer Industrial to 270 is pretty heavy. Northbound 55 backed up from Union up to River to Pear. That's the worst of it there. And on the Illinois side, downtown 5570 at Exchange is heavy onto the Poplar. Next update at 7:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's never too early to start thinking about your retirement journey, and it's never too late either. You just need to know that the steps may look a little different. Listen to Wealth and Wisdom with Gary Goldberg, Saturday mornings at 7 here on KMOX.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg is with us. I saw that storm system you were talking about to the south of us that missed us, but this next round might not miss us.
Well, it's been fascinating to watch it, Tom, because it was a nice little line of thunderstorms that came through the Kansas City area and has been charging southeastward. But as expected, it's falling apart. But the interesting thing is it's producing what we call an outflow boundary. Boundaries are things in the atmosphere that new thunderstorms like to develop on. And so that's going to be present in our area with sunshine and clouds. All of a sudden, you're going to watch thunderstorms bubble up again this afternoon to our north and west and then rampage through the area. So we think midday or afternoon, that's the best bet for those thunderstorms to to refire across the area, and they could be rather nasty with some gusty winds and downpours. And before that happens, we'll get to about 89 or 90. Later tonight, things quiet down, and by morning, we're looking at temperatures in the low 70s under partly cloudy skies. Clouds and sun tomorrow, another very warm to downright hot and humid day. A couple of thunderstorms will bubble up in the afternoon and evening with a high in the upper 80s near 90. Thursday, partly sunny, looks dry, upper 80s to near 90. Low to mid 90s on Friday with some sunshine, perhaps a late day thunderstorm. A better bet though Friday night. Saturday, clouds will limit sunshine. The next front moves in. Chance for some thunderstorms, especially in the afternoon, the high in the upper 80s. Right now, 75 in St. Peter's, 77 in Florissant, sunshine at 79 downtown at the Arch. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Let's take a little trip around baseball at 7:45. Are the Cardinals contenders, pretenders, buyers, sellers? Where are they right now with the trade deadline of July 31st? We'll break it down for you in 2 minutes.
Martin Cooper changed the world when he pioneered the portable phone. The Motorola company's 4-pound box has evolved into a global army of powerful smartphones weighing just ounces.
It's called the cellular phone, and it's being heralded as a revolution in technology.
Some 4.6 billion people, that's nearly 60% of the world, have mobile internet. Check out this news report from 1995 explaining how portable phones were installed in your car and how much they cost.
Cellular phones are still expensive. Apart from the airtime, you pay a basic monthly service charge, around $15. But by far, the single largest expense is the hardware. You can lease a cellular phone set, but you won't be able to buy one for less than $2,500. That's for a mobile model. The phone runs on your car's electrical system with an encyclopedia-sized transducer in the trunk. The antenna can glue onto your rear window, and a speaker attachment is available for your visor if you don't like the idea of driving with one hand on a phone. For people constantly on the move, the completely portable phone will come in handy. It costs about $6,000, but it can transmit for up to half an hour over an 8-hour period without recharging.
Hi, how are you doing?
The third type of cellular phone is known as transportable. This model is a Scandinavian design and can be disconnected from the dash, rejigged, and carried wherever you go for around $3,000.
For Midday, I'm Catherine O'Hara.
All right, that was a 1985 report.
Wow.
If you've ever $5,000 for a mobile phone. If you go to the Telephone Museum in Jefferson Barracks Park, they have an amazing array of telephones.
Oh, do they? I'll check that out.
Including the old school cell phones. But do you remember my first radio job out of college in South Carolina? They had the big Motorola handset. It was just the handset that you didn't have to plug into your car. I thought I was so cool. I just I've got to call somebody. I've got to call somebody.
My
This
dad
is so
had
exciting.
the bag phone.
The bag
that was in a
phone.
bag.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh man, we were like, wow, we can take in the car. We can call people.
It's like James Bond.
That's unbelievable. When I started at KMOX, I had a cell phone and I also had a pager. I still remember my pager number.
I remember the pager.
And you would put 911 at the end of your page if it was like emergency, like urgent.
Call me now.
Yeah, please. 7:45. Is it urgent yet for the Cardinals? Yeah, it's getting there. I mean, an 11-0 loss to the Cubs on Sunday dropped them back 6.5 in the division. It's time for them to pick it up if they want any shot at this division. They are still in the wild card race, a game and a half out, but they're chasing two teams for the last wild card spot. That is not ideal. There's a pool of, let's say, 5, maybe 6 or 7 teams if you want to stretch it to Arizona, although they're a game under 500. They can't really be a player. I'll put the Reds in there. 6-team pool for 3 wild card spots right now. Mets, Brewers, Giants, Padres, Cardinals, Reds. It's not a great position to be in. You want to be chasing the division leaders. The Cubs, Cardinals had their chance, and they ended up losing 4 out of 7 against Chicago, splitting the 2-game series here and losing 2 out of 3 there. Now they're home for a 6-game homestand, and all the schedule looks easier against the Nationals and then the Braves, 2 teams bringing up the rear in the NL East. The Cardinals just got swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates and didn't score a run in the entire series. So it's major league competition. It's big time baseball, and the Cardinals have to pick it up and get on a run if they want to be a contender. July 31st is the trade deadline. We played you clips yesterday of John Mozeliak, the Cardinals president of baseball operations, telling me that it depends on what they want to trade for. When I asked him if they have the resources available to do what they want at the deadline, it's still to be determined. Now, you'd have to guess that they'd be looking for pitching. They seem to be a little thin there on starting pitchers. Their rotation, 40% of it, has gotten roughed up. Miles Mikolas and Eric Fetty. Michael McGreevy, as Mozeliak put it, is lurking. He said we can't keep him down for long. The Cardinals have McGreevy waiting in the wings. They have shuffled their rotation just a bit this week for the Nationals series. Sonny Gray, who originally was starting Wednesday, is going to be the starter tonight. 6:45 first pitch. Tomorrow, the pitcher will be Andre Palante, and then Thursday, it is Miles Mikolas. He is listed as the starter. That's the day that McGreevy is eligible to rejoin this team, so we'll see if he pitches against the Braves this weekend, and Gray could potentially pitch again on Sunday before the All-Star break. J.J. Weatherholt and Brendan Donovan will represent the Cardinals down in Atlanta for All-Star Weekend. Weatherholt will play in the Futures game on Saturday. He was promoted to AAA Memphis yesterday, and Brendan Donovan is the lone representative for the Cardinals in the All-Star game and says he wants to play in that game. We'll have a lot of coverage today. The Gas House game comes your way at 12:05 on KMOX, also streaming on YouTube and X and Facebook with manager Ollie Marmol, taking your questions and ours for the first half hour, 12:05 with Bernie Miklas and Chris Ranji. I'm Tom Ackerman. We will have the Gas House gang at that time. Ins and Outs sponsored by Innsbrook, where every day is the weekend. Innsbrook's a great place to unwind. Innsbrook's just a great place, period. It's located in Warren County. It's right off of 70, the Wright City exit. And when you get there, you will know what we've been talking about for years, that Innsbrook is a great place to vacation. And it's right here in the St. Louis area. It's 100 lakes. It's 7,500 acres. It's hiking trails. It's a golf course. It's beautiful landscape. It's privacy. It's party. It's everything you could possibly want in a vacation. It's Innsbrook. Innsbrook-resort.com.
Cardinal Cowboy here. After proving the doctors wrong following my accident, I got back to baseball, started kicking field goals, and finally got paid as a pro kicker and ultimately became a leader in the marketing world. That's why I trust Renner Garage Door, exceeding expectations for over 65 years. They service, sell, and install top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster. Get your free quote today. Check them out at RennerDoorSTL.com. Renner, forward and back. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
It doesn't take a lot to make a big difference.
That's why we've teamed up with Jerry Kelly Heating and Cooling to bring you 100 acts of kindness.
For the next 6 months, the Chris and Amy Show is challenging you to spread kindness in simple, meaningful ways. No big budget needed.
Write a thank you note, help a neighbor, surprise someone with a smile. It all counts.
Let's prove that kindness is contagious. Share your acts with us by using hashtag 100KindActs.
Because a little kindness goes a long way.
Total Information AM. The news continues on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is going on 7:51, and we need to get you updated on your ride in. Roger Brand joins us from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, I'm seeing some slow traffic in North County right now, Debbie, on westbound 270 coming around the bend from Lindbergh toward McDonald. I can't see what the issue is, but it is heavy there. It normally wouldn't be. If you're on eastbound Highway 70, you've got some slow stuff, primarily from the Blanchette Bridge into the Rock Road. South 270, Dorset to Ladue. Now that's slow the whole way through. Eastbound 64 from 364 through Wing Haven, busy. Westbound from 94, it's jammed through K, and to a point about midway out to Wing Haven, it's roadwork on the westbound side, obviously. Eastbound 64 a little busy at Clarkson after that. East to Lindbergh through the Interbelt. The Interbelt, a couple of slow spots from Olive to 64. Westbound 64, Science Center to Hanley's heavy. North 270 bogged down. Approaching Tesson Ferry through Gravois and 44 up through Manchester. After that, it's not as bad. Eastbound 30 backed up, coming up the hill from Mauer. Northbound 55, the right lane's a little busy north of Butler Hill. It's backed up from Bayless through Weber. And westbound 64 from Ball Avenue to 3rd Street. And then west of there, it's still slow, headed across the Poplar. Next update at 7:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's been really interesting to watch the radar this morning. They had some heavy rain in Kansas City early this morning that moved its way to our north and just kind of dissipated across the Illinois border. And then south of us, big rain approaching Cape Girardeau right now, but that missed us as well. AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg says a couple of thunderstorms might not miss us this afternoon and evening. Any thunderstorm can produce flooding, downpours, and localized damaging wind gusts, a high of 90 as we get sunshine, building clouds, and humidity up until then. A low of 71 overnight with partly cloudy sky, and then tomorrow a high of 89 with a chance of a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Currently, it's 76 in Florissant, 76 in St. Peters, sunny and 77 downtown at the Arch.
It is 7:53, and the death toll is now more than 104 in the aftermath of the deadly flooding in Texas. It's bringing political finger-pointing in the Lone Star State and in Washington, D.C., while recovery operations continue to find those still missing.
Kerrville Mayor Joe Herring Jr. says the way for the world to help is simple. We need your prayers. We need your prayers. The search and recovery continues along the Guadalupe River, which rose more than 25 feet in less than 45 minutes. Kerrville City Manager Dalton Rice.
So we are still currently in the primary search phase, which is the rapid one. They are running it. We have different segments that are gridded out. Each one of those segments are taking anywhere between an hour to 3 hours, up to 2 kilometers for each segment. So what that means is they're running into a lot of technical challenges with terrain, with water, even potentially, with weather, in the rising fields.
Meanwhile, in D.C., the political back and forth is underway. Senator Chuck Schumer wrote a letter to the Commerce Department's Inspector General demanding an investigation into President Trump's cuts at the National Weather Service that he says could have led to dozens of deaths. The White House snapped back.
To any person who has deliberately lied about these facts surrounding this catastrophic event, you should be deeply ashamed.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
We have seen many falsehoods pushed by Democrats such as Senator Chuck Schumer and some members of the media. Blaming President Trump for these floods is a depraved lie, and it serves no purpose during this time of national mourning.
She insisted the National Weather Service did its job.
Despite unprecedented rainfall, the National Weather Service executed timely and precise forecasts and warnings. On July 3rd, the National Weather Service office in Austin, San Antonio, Texas, conducted forecast briefings for emergency management in the morning and issued a flood watch in the early afternoon.
Senator Ted Cruz is on the ground in the Hill Country and pointed to politics.
One of the things that's predictable is that you see some people engaging in, I think, partisan games and trying to blame their political opponents for a natural disaster, where people immediately say, well, the hurricane is Donald Trump's fault. Look, I think most normal Americans know that's ridiculous. And I think this is not a time for partisan finger pointing and attacks.
Emergency officials in Texas say the warnings and alerts were issued, but the problem in many cases is that over the 4th of July weekend along the river, not everyone received those warnings. Some weren't near a phone, others had no cell service. State leaders now suggesting outdoor warning sirens for floods along the Guadalupe River. I'm Clayton Neville.
I want to go back to something. Martin Cooper. This is really interesting to me. So the portable phone inventor, he invented the cellular phone from Chicago, by the way, says he's 96 years old right now. He says the tiny computers that we carry by the billions are massive interlinked networks of processors performing trillions of calculations per second. He says that's the computing power that artificial intelligence needs. Cooper sees the cell phone's imminent transition into a thinking computer fueled by human calories to avoid dependence on batteries. He says these new parts would run constant tests and feed our doctors real-time results, which would build longevity. Now that just blows my mind.
Wait, I got caught on.
Yeah.
Wait, my phone can burn calories
Your
for me?
phone, no. Your phone will be fueled by your calories.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome.
And then your doctor will get real-time results on how you're doing. And therefore, we will live longer. It's unbelievable. Thank you for that. That's opened up a whole new thing. I'm going down the rabbit hole on that today. It's 7:56.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Here's something that has stood the test of time. The cracking open an ice-cold Budweiser. Boy, that is a great thing. Budweiser's the king of beers. It has been since 1876 when it was invented right here in good old St. Louis, Missouri. Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch Incorporated. And now, you look at people around the world enjoying an ice-cold Budweiser. Budweiser is the official beer sponsor of Major League Baseball. When you go to a ball game like tonight, drinking an ice-cold Budweiser on a warm summer night, there's not much better than that. And also, here's something else this time of year especially to think about, that Budweiser is a partner 15 years now with Folds of Honor, an organization rooted in supporting military families in need. Service never stops, and neither will Budweiser. This year, proceeds from every 12-pack of Budweiser and Bud Zero sold go directly to Folds of Honor. This Bud's for you.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED, because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger, inviting you to a weekend you won't forget, the 37th annual Lake of the Ozarks Shootout. Our shootout is the largest unsanctioned boat race in the country. It's free to attend, packed with family fun, and it's all happening right here in Missouri. Join me and thousands of visitors from across the country for a weekend of racing and Missouri hospitality at its finest. I'll see you at the lake.
Sponsored by the Lieutenant Governor of Missouri.
Roger, take us home. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
All righty, Tom, we got a crash on both shoulders, but they have the left lane blocked right now for it. It's eastbound 70 between the Rock Road and Lindbergh. So eastbound 70 is bogged down at the Blanchette Bridge. I still can't tell what's blocking on westbound 270 right at McDonald Boulevard, but now it's a solid jam almost back to 170 on westbound 270, so be careful there. Northbound 270, Tesson Ferry all the way up through Manchester and around Ladue is still pretty busy as well. Next update at 8:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Mid-America's most trusted voice for news. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. The death toll has climbed to at least 104 from cataclysmic flooding in central Texas over the holiday weekend. Volunteer teams, some on horseback, have joined mounted police from Austin in a round-the-clock search along the banks of the Guadalupe River for anyone who might still be alive, including someone Sonny White knows.
We are still actively looking for our friend who is missing, but we've got his name on a lot of lists, and we've been going around to all the ERs and hospitals and Red Cross to get his name out there.
CBS's Jason Allen is in Ingram.
This is really slow and tedious work, right? These rescue crews are having to work in sections, a kilometer at a time, a half mile or so at a time until they can get things cleared. Only then can the heavy machinery come in and clear out all of this debris. And although rain chances are a lot lower than they have been over the past few days, anything that does fall now is falling on ground that is saturated.
Just days after he ordered a pause, President Trump says the U.S. will send more weapons to Ukraine.
We're going to send some more weapons. We have to. They have to be able to defend themselves. They're getting hit very hard now.
Officials in Ukraine say new Russian attacks have killed at least 11 civilians and injured more than 80 others, including 7 children. Negotiations are resuming in Philadelphia's week-old strike by municipal employees. Greg Bulware heads the largest union.
Unfortunately, a lot of us inside the city, not just our city workers, are experiencing
difficulty with trying to keep pace.
With garbage piles growing, protesters dumped trash inside City Hall. Officials are urging people to make their own drop-offs at collection centers. Workers walked out in a contract dispute over wages. Churches get the go-ahead to endorse politicians from the pulpit.
Federal law does not allow tax-exempt nonprofits to campaign. But in a new court filing, the IRS says that ban should not apply to houses of worship speaking to their own members. The agency likens it to a family discussion about candidates. 2 Texas churches and a group of Christian broadcasters sued the IRS, demanding all nonprofits be allowed to endorse candidates. The National Council of Nonprofits warns that would allow political operatives to get big tax breaks as they funnel money to their candidates. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Looking for a new car? Ford is sweetening the pot. WWJ's Jeff Gilbert from Detroit.
This latest round of deals offers no interest financing for 48 months, as well as no down payment and no payments for 90 days. This runs through the summer.
Dow futures down 60. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit Progressive.com.
At 8:03, we have sunny skies, 78 degrees downtown at the Arch. Today is Tuesday, July 8th. The news sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station. I'm Megan Lynch. O'Fallon, Illinois City Council members voted overwhelmingly last night to advance an extension of the 1% grocery tax.
This comes as the state plans to repeal its version of the 1% grocery tax as of January 1st. O'Fallon was just the latest Metro East city to consider enacting its own tax to replace it. Belleville, Shiloh, Fairview Heights already enacted their own new 1% grocery taxes. O'Fallon Finance Director Sandy Evans promises
no resident will see any difference what they're paying now. So on a $100 grocery bill, they're paying the same dollar that they're paying now.
She says the city stands to lose $1.2 million when its cut of the state tax goes away with the new year. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
The tax could get final passage from the council on Monday, July 21st. Governor J.B. Pritzker's next lieutenant governor pick still promising supermarket tax relief, despite all these Metro East cities backfilling the state tax with their own. When asked about affordability issues by our partners at Capital News Illinois, Mitchell said,
the governor also, by the way, eliminated the state grocery tax. So every time you go and need to pick up groceries to feed your family, you're now not being burdened by state government imposing an additional cost on you.
When he was deputy governor, Christian Mitchell led some of Pritzker's hallmark initiatives through the General Assembly, a $45 billion infrastructure plan, adult use cannabis, and a climate initiative setting clean energy goals for the state. We'll hear more from him coming up this morning at 8:11 here on KMOX. The Kansas City Chiefs and Royals get until the end of the year to work out whether they'd like to stay in Missouri or steal a base in Kansas. Kansas lawmakers yesterday extended their incentive offer, which had technically expired at the end of June. Kansas Senate Minority Leader Dinah Sykes with KMBC TV and KC.
I think there has been negotiations, and I think we are in those conversations with both teams.
Wichita Republican Dan Hawkins said each team has had a year to come to some type of conclusion, but neither team has. He says, get it done. Missouri is still in the game, having passed its own incentive package during a special session. A 12-year-old in custody after police say an 8-year-old boy was grazed in the face with a bullet in South City. Investigators say the kids were playing with a gun when it went off. It happened around 7:30 last night in the 3400 block of Cherokee. The boy is expected to be okay. Questions remain after a man is shot and killed in Farmington Sunday.
Austin Atnip was relaxing inside his Hilltop apartment when he heard gunshots ring out just outside his door late Sunday morning. He tells KMOX what he saw when he stepped outside.
I saw my neighbor right across from my door holding the gun. And to my left, I saw Dravon on the ground full of holes and bleeding.
Atnip says his neighbor told him to call 911 for a burglary, but Atnip says the victim's friend who dropped him off claimed he was there to visit a friend and was at the wrong apartment. He adds his neighbor shot up the stairs from the parking lot into the breezeway. KMOX has reached out to the Farmington Police Department, who are awaiting an autopsy report before providing new information. The shooter was arrested Sunday, but has not yet been charged. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
St. Louis Public Schools' plan to combine tornado-impacted student bodies is drawing a lot of concern from the unions, representing almost all of the district's employees. They're all signing on to a joint letter.
Take-home message is we're better together.
President of the Teachers Union, Ray Cummings, says it's disrespectful to leave them out of the planning. The biggest cause of injuries to city teachers, he says, is breaking up fights. And he tells KMOX the high school combinations will be like stirring a pot.
Folks are very territorial about the boundaries in which friendly territory you stray over that line, and it can sometimes spill over into violence. These are things that happened in St. Louis ever since I was a child.
In a statement from Board President Karen Collins Adams, she says that the school district is committed to working together in a spirit of mutual respect and shared responsibility, saying together they will prioritize the well-being of those who matter most, the staff who support students every day. In a layoff filing with the state, an outside firm which had been providing laundry service to Barnes Jewish Hospital says it will need to close its South Broadway plant at the end of this year. As KMOX health editor Fred Bottomer reports, the move is in response to BJC merging its laundry with another health system.
As a result of that move, the company says it will need to terminate about 92 workers at their South Broadway plant when they close it down at the end of the year. BJC Healthcare and SSM Health are combining their laundry services and have launched a joint venture called St. Louis Healthcare Support Services, so they can own and operate a regional laundry in the Soulard area. BJC and SSM Health say combining forces in the new laundry project will allow them to bring 80 new benefits-eligible positions to the surrounding community and will provide certainty in providing laundry service for the foreseeable future. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
We could have some storms this afternoon. We'll check the forecast, plus get a check of the roads for you coming up in 2 minutes. It is 8:08.
There's an old joke about Uncle Sam's new tax short form. The first line says, "How much did you make?" The next line says, "Send it in." Really? Not that funny, but that's what a lot of people do in retirement. They take money out of their 401k or IRA and end up sending it in when they pay taxes. Steve All of the All Financial Group invites you to take their tax challenge. What if your current plan included thousands of dollars in unnecessary taxes and fees, or maybe higher Medicare premiums or a lower Social Security check? What if the savings you realized could allow you to retire early? Wouldn't you want to know about that right now? Take the All Financial Group Tax Challenge and find out. There's no charge. Call Steve today at 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-885-9700. 800-885-9700. That's 800-885-9700.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Total Information AM. Debbie Monterrey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman on 104.1 FM KMOX.
8:10 on KMOX. Let's see what's slowing you down on the roads this morning. Roger Brand has an update from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, it's a couple of crashes on the northwest side right now, Megan. On westbound 270, you've got that one I've been talking about. I still can't see which lane's blocked, but it's at McDonald Boulevard, just past the McDonald overpass. Traffic's backed up near 170 on westbound 270. And then this other crash is on both shoulders, but they also have the left lane closed for it. It's eastbound 70 between the Rock Road and Lindbergh. Eastbound 70 is backed up in pockets back to 5th Street now. Southbound 270 is just kind of busy. All to Ladue. North 270, Sappington Road up through 44 is slow, and then north of Big Bend up to Manchester and approaching Clayton up to Ladue. Several busy stretches there. Eastbound 64, slow approaching 94 Research Park. Westbound through K, that left lane is closed for road work. Eastbound 64 east to Lindbergh through the Interbelt's busy. Westbound 64, Clayton Skinker to Hanley's off the pace. Northbound 55, a couple of pockets. North of Bayless up to Virginia, and westbound 64, slow at the 70 split, and then west of 3rd Street, heavy to the bridge. Next update at 8:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Sunshine mixing with clouds today. It'll be very warm and humid. Look for a couple of thunderstorms during the afternoon and evening hours. They can produce flooding downpours in places, even localized damaging wind gusts, the high not far from 90. Partly cloudy later tonight, though 71. Clouds and some sunshine tomorrow. Very warm, humid day with a thunderstorm or two in the afternoon, high 89. Or sunshine Thursday, high 89. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
We have sunny skies now, 79 degrees in Florissant at 78, in St. Peter's 78, downtown at the Arch. This is Total Information AM on 104.1 FM KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. The man selected to run as Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker's running mate in the next gubernatorial election says he and the governor see the state the same way. Christian Mitchell spoke with Ben Solinsky of our partner, Capital News Illinois.
Christian, thank you so much for joining us here. One of the big roles of lieutenant governor and, vice presidential candidates, anyone who's running for running mate, I think is always to bring something to the ticket that the main candidate does not bring to the ticket. What do you think you're bringing to this campaign that makes J.B. Pritzker a stronger candidate?
At the end of the day, I think that the number one goal is being able to, one, step into the role if anything happens, and two, to really support the candidate and the candidate's vision. J.B. Pritzker and I view the world the same way. We care deeply about working families, deeply about the middle class, deeply about the most vulnerable in Illinois, about making sure we continue to win the race for the jobs of the future all across the state, from Chicago to Belvedere to Alton.
One thing that the governor has said over the last week that he was looking for someone who can immediately step into the role of governor if required. Tell me why you're ready to fill that role if needed.
Yeah, well, first of all, J.B. Pritzker is running to be governor. I'm running to be lieutenant governor. As he said the other day, he's in pretty good health. So odds are those are the exact roles that we are going to keep. But at the end of the day, I was fortunate as deputy governor to oversee several of our largest agencies: transportation, emergency management, the Department of Military Affairs, which works for the Illinois National Guard. I also was able to get very large things done in the legislature. The $45 billion infrastructure plan that repaired roads and bridges across northern, central, and southern Illinois, as well as the Climate Equitable Jobs Act to put us on a path to 100% clean and renewable energy. So I think I have legislative experience, executive branch, and management experience that's going to allow me to be helpful to the governor on day one and ready for the challenge ahead of us.
I think one reason that a lot of people have just focused on the governor talking about that is just that kind of open rumor that he might be interested in running for president in 2028. You've worked with him very closely. Do you, I guess, just in your opinion, think that is something he should consider? Would he be a good candidate for higher office?
Governor Pritzker is running for re-election as governor of the state of Illinois. That's what he's focused on. I'm focused on being his lieutenant governor. I do think it's really good for the people of Illinois that leaders of Illinois, that this leader of Illinois is considered somebody who could go on to run the nation. Illinois is the state most representative of the nation, and it's really exciting to see a governor who is considered for president and not for prison. So I think he would be excellent. Having said that, that's why I'm so excited he's running for re-election, to continue the progress of the last 7 years, 7 balanced budgets, credit upgrades, economic development all across the state of Illinois, additional investments in education, lowering the cost of healthcare. That's the kind of leadership that we need here. And I understand why people around the nation would like him to do that, but we're fortunate that he's ours.
Going more into some policy priorities, Juliana Stratton has been a very aggressive leader on policy for the governor. She's pushed a lot of the big initiatives, as you know. What sort of ideas do you want to move forward if you're the lieutenant governor? What would you be pushing for as part of the Pritzker administration in a third term?
First of all, Juliana Stratton's been a friend for a long time. I talked to her actually earlier this week about doing the job and doing it well. Governor Pritzker said she's the best lieutenant governor we've ever had, and I agree, and very excited to see her on her next endeavor. For me, my number one thing, as I've said, and as the governor said, is how do we make life more affordable for Illinois' working families? How do we invest in not just the physical infrastructure as we did in rebuilding roads and bridges and our state universities, but also the human infrastructure. As AI is coming down the pike, as we have state universities that are continuing to need investment, how do we make sure that people, no matter where they live in the state of Illinois, can be prepared for the jobs of the future, whether that's through a trade school or through community college or through a university? So really focusing on making life more affordable, more abundant, more accessible for Illinoisans. That's the big thing that I'm going to focus on in partnership with the governor and his leadership.
Affordability is a big concern just across the economy with the way prices have increased the last few years. the governor has really made it, I think, one of his big messages, especially since the last election. He has said Democrats really do need to focus on affordability issues, communicating that to people. How do you do that, though? How do you do that in a governor's race where, these are macroeconomic concerns that aren't just in the state of Illinois? How do you say that you're going to actually be able to make a meaningful difference for Illinois residents on their economic concerns?
Yeah, I think about this a couple ways. I mean, first of all, one of the big expenditures for everybody is healthcare. So continuing to lower the cost of healthcare, making insurance companies do the right thing, doing things like capping the cost of insulin for seniors, which the governor already led an initiative on, along with Deputy Governor Andy Manar and others who worked on it. That is one way of doing that sort of stuff. So lower the cost of healthcare. Property taxes are a real problem across the state. And in part, they're a problem because the state has not done its job in providing enough resources for public education, which drives a lot of property tax spending. The governor has put millions and millions, hundreds of millions of new dollars in education every single year to help drive down that burden. We do now need to work with our local governments to make sure those savings are being passed along. That's another way in which you touch people's pocketbooks directly. So if you work on healthcare, if you work on the cost of education, those are two really big ways that you can affect affordability in ways that people are going to feel. The governor also, by the way, eliminated the state grocery tax. So every time you go and need to pick up groceries to feed your family, you're now not being burdened by state government imposing an additional cost on you. People want to know that you understand what's going on in their lives, that you're working on their behalf every single day. And when you do things that they can see on their paycheck, in their pocketbook, that, I think, is how you inspire confidence. And that's something we can do as statewide elected officials.
You've been a state representative from Chicago. How do you get downstate people excited about you being on the ticket?
Well, the first thing I'd say is when I was in the House, as you mentioned, and chairman of the Committee on Economic Opportunity, my first ever hearing was at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale. And it was about how, by the way, a bunch of kids from my district on the south side of Chicago were attending SIU because SIU made itself affordable for them, but also what that university meant for Carbondale. When I was working on the education funding reform back in 2017 with Will Davis, Andy Manar, and Bob Pritchard, I was traveling all around the state of Illinois, talking to folks in gymnasiums, at town halls. I'm going to do that again. I want to get downstate, want to meet people where they live. I actually am in central Illinois at least once a month for my service for the Illinois National Guard. So I love all of Illinois. I want to be in all of Illinois. I want to hear from people in all of Illinois. I will say, as a very food-focused person, I want to eat all across the state of Illinois. There's some great barbecue and other types of food around the state. So I'm really excited to get out, meet people where they live. And I think at the end of the day, we're all human. Somebody in Chicago and somebody in Alton have a lot more in common than we may think. And I want to make sure that we make those connections, because representing the whole state, as I did as a state rep, as we did in things like Rebuild Illinois, where we were investing across the state in roads and bridges, that's the job. And I'm really excited to do it.
All right, Christian, thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to do it.
That is candidate for lieutenant governor running with Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker for his third term, Christian Mitchell, speaking with Ben Zielinski of our partner Capital News Illinois. I had this hour on Total Information AM. If you're still suffering trauma and anxiety from recent storms, there's help. We'll tell you more about that. Car buyers just want the basics. We're going to find out more from CBS News automotive reporter Jeff Gilbert in Detroit. And President Trump is threatening a new round of tariffs. What could it mean for you? We're going to get the latest from Bloomberg White House reporter Josh Wingrove. That's coming up at 8:40 this morning. First, though, we need to get you updated on your ride into work with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Megan, we still have our troubles on the north side. This traffic report's a service of Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Still working this crash. Eastbound 70 between the Rock Road and Lindbergh. The left lane is closed, even though the crash is on both shoulders. Traffic stop and go from about 5th Street into that point. And then they cleared the one in North County at McDonald Boulevard, but westbound 270 is still slow through Lindbergh and McDonald. But again, it's improving. Northbound 270, by the way, the right lanes are bogged down north of Dorset up to 70, trying to go east on 70 because of that backup. South 270, Page to Ladou's busy. North 270 from north of the Sappington Road overpass all the way up to Ladue. There's still some heavy traffic there. If you're on eastbound 64, Clarkson midway into Timberlake, from Lindbergh all the way into Big Bend is slow. South 170, there was a crash on the shoulder near Ladue, a little busy there, and then south of the Parkway. Westbound 64, Hampton to Hanley, again a minor crash cleared to the shoulder there. Northbound 55, Bales up to River to Pears slow. Westbound 64, Paul Avenue to the 70 split and approaching Route 3 to the Poplars kind of heavy. Next update at 8:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
And checking that forecast for today, sunny with some clouds rolling in. It'll be warm and humid, and we could see a couple of thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening. They could be severe. Expect a high today near 90. Right now, sunny skies, 78 degrees in downtown St. Louis.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
It's Tom Ackerman for the best garage company out there, Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Not only are they hiring great career opportunities right now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com, but I see on their website, again, overheaddoorsstlouis.com, they are back with their $5,000 sweepstakes. They call it the 5K Curb Appeal Giveaway. Enter to win $5,000 towards a brand new garage door. Curb Appeal Giveaway. The winner of $5,000 towards a new garage door at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Winner will be chosen at random from all entries, and the contest ends July 31st. No purchase necessary. You can't win if you don't enter. Go to overheaddoorsstlouis.com. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis has been in business since 1926. They're the genuine, the original, the ones with the red ribbon. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You're back with Total Information AM here on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. Tornadoes and severe thunderstorms have left areas of Missouri, including St. Louis, in ruins. The physical rebuild continues, but the mental and emotional toll left by storms can often be overlooked. Missouri's 988 crisis line is stepping up to help survivors cope with the trauma and anxiety. Missouri Net's Bill Pollock spoke with Becky Gear, Director of Disaster Services for the Missouri Department of Mental Health.
It's not just a suicide lifeline, it's also a crisis lifeline. So it provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people who are experiencing mental health crises, and that can include some suicidal ideation, but it also includes substance use issues or other sorts of emotional distress. And so you can call or text to chat with someone who is a live trained crisis counselor 24/7 by either dialing or texting 988.
When these natural disasters hit, like the recent storms and the tornadoes, what kind of mental health challenges do survivors typically face?
So that's a great question. With survivors, there are several different things that can happen. You can have distress reactions that are very common, and we really expect to see those in the weeks following disasters. That can be things like anxiety, grief, fear, frustration, anger, trouble sleeping, overeating or undereating. There's a wide range of those common reactions we can see, and that's where that emotional support can come into play. So we know disasters can be overwhelming, and 988 really provides a safe space to talk about those feelings and frustrations that you might be having, all of those different types of overwhelming thoughts or frustrations that you're having. We know that by typically a month to 6 weeks after a disaster, those emotional and cognitive and behavioral and even psychological or physical reactions that people have to the experience itself, to the disaster, to the trauma, should subside. And if they don't, at that point, that's when we know that we need to provide additional assistance. We need to look for some sort of additional support. That may be the first time somebody calls 988 to be connected to a trained crisis counselor. It also can help connect them to the local mobile crisis teams or crisis stabilization programs or some of those other community-based resources. It's one of the great things about 988 is if you're in crisis or if you know someone who's in crisis, you can call them and find out what is that connection to the local resources that can help the individual that is experiencing that crisis.
Do you know does 988 work alongside SEMA or the Red Cross or other local shelters too?
It does not work alongside them. How that typically works is we are in communication with folks that work at like United Way 211, the American Red Cross, the State Emergency Management Agency, to find out what people are seeing in their communities and areas that they feel like we need to provide support. So, for example, in the immediate aftermath, for the weeks following the tornado in St. Louis, we were asked by the American Red Cross to go out and provide mental health professionals in the shelters to provide that level of support.
That is Becky Greer, Director of Disaster Services for the Missouri Department of Mental Health, along with Missouri Net's Bill Pollack here on Total Information AM. Coming up, car buyers want to go back to basics. CBS News automotive reporter Jeff Gilbert will join us next to tell us why.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Hi, I'm Andrew Suntrup. Buying your brand new Buick or GMC has never been easier. Here at Suntrup Buick GMC, our family-owned and operated dealership has been proudly servicing St. Charles County for over 30 years by always providing aggressive pricing, a massive inventory selection, and exceptional customer service. Buying from Suntrup means you get the best vehicle at the best price. Visit Suntrup Buick GMC today or visit us online at suntrupbuickgmc.com and save more at Suntrup Buick GMC.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Well, if you can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence, Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation today, 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters. BannerConstruction.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
At California Psychics, we know some people can't read the career warning signs, like your boss still not knowing your name.
You, Tina, Lisa, Sheila, whatever. Get that report to me by lunch, okay? It's Carrie, ma'am. Just get it done, Terry.
So talk to California Psychics and receive the career guidance you need. We only connect you with the very best, so guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. California Psychics. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com today for limited time offers.
The heat's really been extreme last week or so. I have a wife that's going through change of life, and she woke me up at 3 a.m. and said there's something wrong with the air conditioner. I checked the thermostat, and it's set at 66, and it is saying 66. Like we set it every single night. I said, okay, how do you feel? She said, okay, well, as long as it's 66. And then within 2 minutes, all the covers are back on her, and she says she is freezing. I said, honey, the air conditioner isn't broke. Your thermostat is broke. So if you're living that way, my advice is this. I'm not the brightest bulb in the box, but here's what I do. I keep my laughter inside. It is real what they're feeling. You don't need to call me. You can say you called me, but you don't need to call me. Save your money. This is Bart Inman. One easy number in Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. God bless.
8:31. Let's see what's happening on the roads with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
We still have a backup on 70 and coming out of St. Charles City, Megan. This traffic reports the service of SNL coins. It's backed up from 5th Street in pockets all the way into almost Lindbergh. That crash still on both shoulders between the Rock Road and Lindbergh on eastbound 70. Westbound 70, we had debris on the Blanchette Bridge. It's slow crossing the bridge out into St. Charles County as well. South 270 from Dorset down to Ladue, stop and go pockets. North 270 primarily 44 up to Ladue, still busy. Eastbound 64 slow through the Chesterfield Parkways from about Spady all the way in through Hanley. South 170, there's a crash between Delmar and Ladue. It's jammed at Olive after that. Not so bad. Westbound 64, Clayton's Kinker to Hanley is busy. Bayless to River to Pear, northbound 55 slow, and westbound 64 approaching Route 3 to the Poplar still on the heavy side downtown. Next update at 8:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Warming up today. We've already got 80 degrees now. Sunny with some clouds today. Warm and humid. A couple of thunderstorms, though, this afternoon and this evening could be severe, so stay with KMOX for the latest. We're expecting a high today of 90 degrees. Again, sunny skies, 80 degrees in downtown St. Louis. As cars and trucks get more expensive, car buyers are showing less interest in piling on expensive options. I'm joined now by WWJ reporter Jeff Gilbert, who has covered the auto industry for decades. Jeff, thanks for your time this morning.
Sure, thanks for the call.
What are car buyers saying they want and don't want right now in new cars?
Yeah, this is from a study by a company called Auto Pacific. They looked at people specifically looking for $35,000 vehicles or less, those in the entry level. And what they said is, look, we'll take basic cloth seats, we'll take some other basic things, but give us something with a lower sticker price. We don't necessarily need all the bells and whistles.
I was saying this several years ago when we were shopping for a car, and it seemed like the manufacturers were just packing on all the options. Will manufacturers listen to this?
Well, that's the big question, because the reality is the options are where they make their money, especially on lower cost vehicles. And the other issue is it's becoming even more expensive to make those lower cost vehicles because many of them are made in Mexico, so that's going to mean a tariff, and many of them are made with imported parts, so that's going to mean another tariff. So, car companies have to recoup those costs somehow.
It wasn't too long ago, Jeff, where you could order a car. You could pick everything you wanted on it and get the package you wanted, and it seems like that has gone by the wayside too.
Yeah, you can do that, but that's generally for ones that are more expensive. So, if you were buying, say, a base model Hyundai Elantra or something like that, maybe you can, but some of these base models can be very, very nice, but that pushes the sticker price up. I mean, I've been in a Honda Civic, which has been considered, a workhorse of vehicles, that is just awash in leather, high-end stereo, chrome, things like that. But again, you're going to be paying in the 30s.
Well, hopefully car makers will listen a little bit. Jeff Gilbert, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
We've got your money report coming up next.
SNL Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold filled and silver plate. Before you sell, call SNL 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. SNL Coin.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
8:36, time for your money report, sponsored by Eamon Gatner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys. Here's Bloomberg's Kimberly Adams.
Good morning. Trade tensions weighed on Wall Street and stocks retreated in yesterday's trading. The Dow was down 422 points. The Nasdaq was down 189 and the S&P was down 49 points. Tesla shares fell nearly 7% after Elon Musk announced he plans to start a new political party. Investors had been looking forward to Musk refocusing his attention on the electric car maker. Analysts say Tesla's board may have to get involved to limit Musk's politicking. ExxonMobil issued a profit warning. The energy giant expects lower oil and gas prices to cut its second quarter earnings by about $1.5 billion. Shares of European rival Shell fell more than 3% after it issued a similar warning yesterday. The outlooks from the two companies point to a downward quarter for the entire energy industry. And luxury company LVMH has a new leader who will oversee North and South America. Michael Burke will head the company's Americas operations. This report is sponsored by Fidelity. With your Bloomberg Money Report, I'm Kimberly Adams on the Voice of St. Louis, 104.1 FM KMOX.
Doctors have to deal with the WebMD effect. You know, people Googling what's wrong with them and insisting that that is their issue. Well, a lot of financial experts have to deal with misinformation from finfluencers and people all over social media giving advice. If you are worried about your retirement or you just want to feel more secure in your retirement, call a professional. Jeff Sachs of Sachs Financial knows
there is a ton of bad information out on the internet, and there's misinformation, and there's advice out there that people shouldn't necessarily listen to, but because it gets thousands of views and millions of likes, people think that that's what they need to do.
Sit down with the folks at Sachs Financial. That's SACHS, Sachs Financial. They make your retirement something that you can feel comfortable about. You don't have to sweat the markets. You don't have to constantly be worrying if you're doing the right things. RetireSafeSTL.com is the place to go. RetireSafeSTL.com.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hi, Stacy with Fairwinds River's Edge Senior Living in St. Charles. Are you a senior seeking a fun retirement? Do you want less work and more play? Do you want to enjoy great food that you don't have to cook? Then I know. Stop what you're doing right now and call Fairwinds. Set up a time to visit and have a meal. Meet some of our awesome residents. Check us out online at fairwindsriversedge.com. We hope to talk with you soon.
Hey guys, Clever here with my friend Mark Cantor at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, so I take this very seriously. Mark is a great attorney. He has a great team. He is from St. Louis. He is local. Call 314-628-9999 or visit cantorinjurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
Sunny skies, 80 degrees at 104.1 FM KMOX. Here's what's happening. The death toll from catastrophic flooding in Texas over the July 4th weekend has now surpassed 100. The Kansas City Chiefs and Royals get until the end of the year to work out whether they'd like to stay in Missouri or go across the border to Kansas. And coming up, President Trump threatens more tariffs on global trade partners. We'll look at how that could impact your bank account. First, though, let's see what's impacting you on the roads with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we got some problems out in that northwest corner, Megan, right now. This traffic reports the service of the Sandberg Phoenix Law Firm. First of all, that crash on both shoulders, eastbound 70 between the Rock Road and Lindbergh, has traffic bogged down at about our city. The crash, there was debris on the bridge, and now there's a crash and involves a semi. The two left lanes are shut down. Westbound 70 at the west end of the Blanchette Bridge, so traffic there is jammed back to our city. There's a crash eastbound 364 at the South 270 exit blocking the right lane, so traffic's bogged down back at Bennington. There's a crash southbound 170 before Ladue. Traffic's jammed back to about Page there. There's lane blockage in that one as well. By the way, South 270 Page, Ladou's busy. North 270 through Gravois and then north of Big Bend up to Ladue pretty busy. Eastbound 64 still slow through the Chesterfield Parkways. approaching Spady all the way to Big Ben's heavy. Westbound 64 Science Center to Hanley is slow and still a little volume downtown 64 at the Poplar. I'm Roger Brand at the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we're more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. We are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. SandbergPhoenix.com. The choice of lawyers is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
We could see some thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening, so stay with KMOX for the latest on those threats. Otherwise, sunny skies with a few clouds popping in, warm and humid today with a high near 90. Partly cloudy tonight, a low 71. Right now, sunny skies, 80 in downtown St. Louis. Thanks for listening to Total Information AM. I'm Megan Lynch. President Donald Trump on Monday set a 25% tax on goods imported from Japan and South Korea, as well as new tariff rates on a dozen other nations. All of that could go into effect as soon as August 1st. With me now, Bloomberg White House reporter Josh Wingrove. Josh, thanks for your time this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Good morning.
Josh, what triggered this from the president?
We've been on this road for a few months. You remember back in April, he did his Liberation Day announcement, announced a bunch of tariffs on about 6 countries, all of which run trade surpluses with the U.S. He doesn't like that. And then the market freaked out. And about a week later, he backed off and paused everything at 10%. Now, and he set a 90-day deadline. Now, that deadline is tomorrow, and we've been waiting to see what would happen on that. Yesterday, he basically punted it another few weeks, saying August 1st, and now it sort of reiterated the tariff threat. Now, the questions that are outstanding are, will he still go through with this? It's unclear. He's saying he will, and sort of opened the door both to other talks when he was speaking with reporters here in Washington last night, but also signaled that he was sort of losing patience with those talks and said he thinks they're basically done. And of course, whether there will be another delay. So he's sort of inviting negotiations in the next few weeks, call it a bit of an overtime period for, some kind of talks. But this is one stream of like several streams of tariffs. They're still looking for deals. They've only got a couple so far, so coming up a bit short on that so far.
Well, he's inviting these countries to negotiations. He's also warning them not to retaliate. Is it likely that any will comply with that, or would they return in like kind?
They've been threatening to, but have held fire so far. And we saw this with the China-U.S. trade fight over the last several months, where China would ratchet up to match the U.S. and Trump would increase, and they go back and forth. And they ended up with tariffs of like 145% on China. And obviously at that point, basically nothing was moving. And so, we could see that sort of escalation again, I think in particular from bigger economies that feel like they could go toe-to-toe with the U.S. I think it's less likely that smaller economies. That's the other thing. A lot of these countries that we're talking about, in this case, these 6, some of them are pretty low-income places. These are not places that have auto manufacturing plants that we want to bring to America or what have you. They're making like T-shirts and that kind of thing. So it's trickier for these countries to say, okay, we'll just build a factory in America to build these. It's like those are jobs that have moved away from the States, and there's not a lot of demand to bring those back. So it's a tricky one. I think a lot of those countries are just going to have to sort of eat the tariff, which is paid by the importers, in other words, Americans, but sometimes offset by lower prices by the sellers.
I'm speaking with Bloomberg White House reporter Josh Wingrove. So, Josh, having said that, what could this do to some of the economic uncertainty we already have around the globe?
Yeah, I think right now the Federal Reserve is looking for certainty on tariff rates. This extension will delay that. So if you're sitting around waiting for instance, lower mortgage rates or lower interest rates, you might be waiting around a little bit longer as we wait to see where all these tariffs land. The other thing is that tariffs, historically will increase prices, of course. Some of this is passed on to consumers. We're already kind of watching that with tariffs that are in place, such as on cars. Right now, imported cars are facing a 25% tariff generally. And so the White House is arguing that this won't be passed on, that manufacturers will eat some of it for the privilege of going into the U.S. market. The history is sort of proven more in the middle, that some of this stuff is passed on to consumers. So it's a tricky one. But right now, the short version is tariff uncertainty is believed to be keeping interest rates at a higher level. And the question is, of course, will that sort of weigh on the economy? Also, and I don't want to drone on too much about it, a lot of American manufacturers build their stuff with parts imported. And so there's a risk here that too many tariffs hurts factories that are already in America. Of course, President Trump's stated goal is to bring more factories to America. So that's a needle they're looking to thread as well.
Josh, last question for you. How did the markets react to this announcement?
Not great, even though it was a bit of a pause. I think if these go in on August. We'll be watching that reaction very closely. Of course, these similar tariff numbers that he announced in August led to quite a lot of market turmoil. And so, Trump has been trying to balance that, and it was the market pressure in particular on the bond market that led him to back off on April 9th. If they go forward with these levels on August 1st, it'll be interesting to watch. Will markets have the same reaction to the same numbers that they did 3.5 months earlier, or have investors shifted their expectations here? Time will tell.
That is Bloomberg White House reporter Josh Wingrove. Josh, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Coming up on Total Information AM, was there any way to predict the flash flooding that claimed dozens of lives in Texas? I'll talk with AccuWeather Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Porter next.
I'm Sean Malone. This is KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
It's Tom Ackerman's Summer Living, Outdoor Living, Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, fence and deck in their name. Beautiful fences, great materials, great staff, good people. The showroom in Chesterfield Valley will show you that variety of fence or deck that you want to put in, but they have more than that. Patios, pergolas, sunrooms, retaining walls, and more from Chesterfield Fence and Deck. How about an outdoor kitchen? How about an outdoor fireplace? Maybe a great place to just kick back and unwind during the summer and have a cup of coffee and a newspaper read, which is what I do often on the weekends. Chesterfield Fence and Deck can do that for you. ChesterfieldFence.com. When you mention me, Tom Ackerman, you'll get 48 months interest-free financing from your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler for 213 Complex, which is available at supplement superstores. Look, 213 Complex is the most effective and powerful all-natural weight loss supplement ever developed, and here's why. It optimizes thyroid function, and it boosts your metabolism 24 hours a day, while you're sleeping too. So you're burning more stored body fat. Also getting that appetite and craving control that I love. You get all-day focused energy with no jitters, so all you need to do is get out to supplement superstores, tell them Kevin Wheeler sent you in. They'll knock 30% off 213 Complex. Find your location at supplementsuperstores.com.
Experience the magic of the Fabulous Foxes 2025-2026 Broadway season, which includes the return of St. Louis favorite, The Phantom of the Opera, and the spellbinding spectacular Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And right now, KMOX has your chance to win a pair of season tickets for the 2025-2026 season. Prize package includes a pair of tickets for all 8 shows in the subscription package. Register now online at KMOX.com/contests for your chance to win.
Thanks for listening to Total Information AM. I'm Megan Lynch. Last week, we told you how Venice, Illinois is building a city-owned grocery store because there's currently no grocer in the community. It's being funded through a $2.4 million grant meant to bring better food options to so-called food deserts. I spoke with Illinois Senator Christopher Belt of East St. Louis about the issue in communities in his district.
How many communities are like this where they are food deserts and have no place, within walking distance to go to get fresh food?
I represent some of the poorest districts in Illinois, if not the country. When I first took over, I want to say in 2018 or 2019, there was a story in the USA Today which claimed Centerville, which is part of Cahokia Heights now, which claimed Centerville is the poorest city in all of America. And so there are quite a few, way more than it should be. There shouldn't be any food deserts in the 57th district.
How hard is it for residents of those communities to get to a place where they can find affordable food?
It's hard because you can only go in a lot of instances. We're talking people, transportation is prohibitive. We're talking people who, if at best, can hop on a bus and get somewhere. They can only go in a lot of instances where their feet can take them. And so not having access to fresh food with nutritional value really bleeds over into comorbidities, health issues, diabetes, obesity. It's really a sad situation.
That's Senator Christopher Belt. He says the state grant being used to fund the Venice grocery store is something to build on and could create more economic development for the area. Let's check in now with AccuWeather Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Porter joining us this morning. We've had more deaths from the catastrophic flooding that now surpass 100. Much of the discussion has turned to warnings and whether there was any way to have alerted people in the path of raging floodwaters. Joining me to talk about the power of this kind of flash flooding is AccuWeather Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Porter. Jonathan, thanks for joining me this morning.
Good to be with you to talk about this horrible tragedy.
A lot of people are asking right now, Jonathan, if there was any way to predict what happened.
Yes, there were ample warnings that were provided by AccuWeather and the government's National Weather Service, first highlighting the threat for flash floods the day before with the flash flood watch that was issued by the government's National Weather Service. And then as the rainfall intensified, flash flood warnings issued by AccuWeather at 12:44 Central Time, and then the National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning for the public at 1:14 a.m. Central Time. That would have activated alerts in the AccuWeather app, activated wireless emergency alerts, and many other ways that those NWS warnings are provided. So there was ample time from those warnings that were issued because the peak of the flooding reached Hunt, Texas, and some of the other camps in that area around 4:30 in the morning. So there were several hours of advance notice. It's clear that those warnings saved a lot of lives. But the key question is, what did local decision makers in terms of local officials and the people responsible for safety at the camps and RV parks, what actions did they take based upon those timely warnings?
Whose responsibility is it? Because we have people right now speculating that, for example, this was due to federal cuts, or this was because of those local officials not having things in place like sirens along, these flood-prone areas. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's very clear that the timely warnings were issued, as mentioned by the National Weather Service and AccuWeather as well. So those timely warnings were there. They were issued as they should have been. And the key question is, what actions were taken on the ground? Because ultimately, warnings are only as good as the actions that people take based upon the warnings. And at a location like a camp or an RV park, there has to be somebody whose job it is 24/7 to be monitoring for weather warnings and to be able to take the appropriate action. Facilities like that have a duty of care. They need to protect people from weather risks just the same as they would from a physical security risk. So in many cases, here at AccuWeather, we work with half the Fortune 500s and thousands of other businesses. Oftentimes, that is the 24/7 job of security and safety personnel to be monitoring for weather warnings so that they can take the appropriate actions. Now the investigation is going to need to focus on what actions were taken on the ground based upon those timely warnings.
How much of what happened there in this area is quantity of rainfall, and how much is the terrain and geography that created this fast-moving rush of water due to heavy rainfall?
Well, that's a great question. And the Texas Hill Country is known, I call it the flash flood capital of the United States, because it has a tragic history of devastating flash floods just like this one. You go back to in Wimberley, Texas in 2015, Memorial Day, there was a flash flood there where water rose 30 feet in an hour, a very similar situation to this. And some of the same communities that were struck by this flash flood back in July 1987 along the Guadalupe River had a similar flash flood then too. So it's part of the history there because of the hilly terrain, the arid soil, which tends to promote lots of runoff, and that water pours off of the hills into the valleys, into the creeks, streams, and rivers. And you have persistent thunderstorms producing copious rain over the same areas. It was raining 2 to 4 inches per hour for several hours on end. That's going to funnel all that water into the Guadalupe River and lead to that wave of flooding that went down the river and caused so much destruction and the horrible loss of life. So it's part of life in the Texas Hill Country because of the climatology of that area. So they've got to be prepared for dealing with that. So it's even more reason that those facilities needed to have somebody monitoring for weather warnings all of the time. And it's also a lesson for everybody to just take action as soon as weather warnings are issued. Even if you don't see a lot of rain occurring in your area, there could be rain that's occurring in waterways near you that can move down those creeks and streams and rivers. And because become a major safety problem. So have the AccuWeather app, turn on those free push notifications, and that's a great resource to help keep safer.
AccuWeather Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Porter, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
Coming up tomorrow on Total Information AM, we're going to tell you whether Amazon Prime Day still have staying power. KMOX business analyst Jerome Katz is going to look at that. Plus, KMOX legal analyst Brad Young will look at parents being charged for kids' crimes in St. Louis.
As search and rescue efforts continue in Texas after the devastating flood, Missouri Task Force 1, with over 50 members of Boone County Fire, are on their way to help. We'll chat with Gail Blomenkamp, the assistant fire chief of Boone County, this morning. It all starts at 9 a.m. on the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
It's Tom Ackerman. I've been talking about this recently. I wanted to wait until it was official, but Hoffman Commercial Real Estate, part of Hoffman family of companies, is thrilled to announce the newest tenant at Pierre Laclede Center in Clayton, the Missouri Athletic Club. An expansion for the MAC, a strategic milestone for the MAC. It reinforces the Pierre Laclede building as a premier destination within the St. Louis business community. The Missouri Athletic Club is moving into Clayton. They remain downtown, and they remain at the MAC West. But the MAC amenity will occupy the 14th and 15th floors of the Pierre Laclede Center and include oversight of the 13th floor fitness facility, upscale dining, bar, co-working, business meeting accommodations, event space, and lounge areas. That will be the MAC Clayton. Learn more at mac-stl.org, the Missouri Athletic Club.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res. It's National Carpet Cleaning Month, and because of Zero Res's commitment to the DGS, you're going to get 3 rooms of carpeting clean plus 1 free plus $50 off your air duct services. 314-474-2020, ZeroResSTL.com.
Tom Ackerman for Busey Bank and Building Community. We are proud to recognize Doorways as a building community partner. Doorways helps those who are invisible and ignored by society, people navigating poverty, homelessness, and serious illnesses like HIV. While HIV has become treatable, the number of cases continues to rise in the disenfranchised community. Building community means nobody should be invisible. Learn more about Doorways at doorwayshousing.org.
This is Pat Buring, Executive Vice President of Busey Bank. I'm so proud to recognize Doorways, the only agency in the region dedicated to providing housing to individuals living with HIV and their families.